Hi, I'm Ivan from WebWash, and in this epic long video, which goes for just under 3.5 hours, I'll teach you how to create a basic directory website using Drupal 8. You will learn how to download Drupal core and its modules using Composer, and how to use ddev local to set up a local Drupal 8 site. Trust me, ddev is awesome and worth learning. And then you'll learn how to create content types and attach fields to them. And then I'll show you how to use Display Suite to customize the content types. You'll also learn how to create a Bootstrap sub-theme, and we'll cover the block system, menus, search API, views, media management, roles and permissions, paragraphs, and Webform. As you can see, I cover a lot in this video. That is why it's over 3 hours long. Now, just a quick plug, WebWash is accepting enrollments to its Drupal 8 Site Building Bootcamp. It's a 7-week program delivered as live lectures, and there'll be 2 lectures per week. You'll learn how to create a directory site like the one we're going to cover in this video, but it'll be more in depth, and you'll get support during the bootcamp. So if you want to learn more about it, head over to webwash.net/learn or click on the link below this video. So with that being said, grab yourself a drink, coffee, or tea, sit back, and enjoy the ride. And if you sit through the 3.5 hours, well, you have my utmost respect. Enjoy the video. So before we can start building out our directory site, let's set up a local Drupal site first. Now, normally in my videos, I just show you a browser with a Drupal site already set up. But in this video, I want to do things differently because just recently I've started to play with ddev, which is a Docker-based system that allows you to spin up local sites, and it's pretty cool. So I thought I might as well show you how to use it. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to download Drupal 8 using this Drupal Composer, Drupal project template. This is my preferred way of downloading Drupal. And all you need to do is just grab this URL here, copy that, and then open up your terminal. So I'm just in a custom directory. And what I'll do is I'll paste this in and then just change some dir to Drupal 8 directory long. That can be the name of this site that we're going to be building. And then just give that a second. Now, chances are, if you have used Composer, then you know it's pretty slow, but I'm using this package in Composer that actually speeds things up, and you can see that it looks different, and the reason for that is that this package downloads these JSON files in parallel instead of downloading it one by one. So this should be quicker. Normally in the videos, I joke and say how Composer takes ages, but right now it is much quicker. And the project is GitHub Composer. Just while this is downloading, I forgot what it is. No, speed up Composer. Yeah, this one. So this is a project. Promistio, how to pronounce it, I've got no idea, but I will add it to the show notes. So let me just move this over to here. This is kind of like my notes area, just so I can remember it. And let's go back here, and you can see that it's still downloading, so it's not quite as fast. So this will then give me a chance to just go through ddev. Now, ddev is a Docker-based system. I'm not using MAMP or Apache and PHP locally. It's all going to be in Docker, and I've been using ddev now for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I've really enjoyed it. And just recently, I discovered a little option called web cache enabled, which is set to false, but if you set it to true on Mac OS, it speeds things up considerably. So I'd highly recommend it, but I'll show that to you as we're building it out. So you can see already now that it's doing whatever it has to do, and then now it's just going to go through all of the files and all of the modules, and it should simply download them because I have cached this because I've run this command a few times today. So let's just give it a few more seconds, and you're just going to see it appear. But this is the joys of using Composer. I might actually speed this up in in post. And you can see now it's just installing all of the vendor, the Drupal core vendor directory and stuff like that. But I'd highly recommend you download this Composer parallel install plugin. Highly recommend it. Okay, we're done. So now if I look at the directory, you will see we have this D8 directory long. So D8 directory long, and if I open that up, it is just a Drupal site. Sweet. So now what I'm going to do is set up ddev. Now installing it, follow the instructions here. I installed it using Homebrew. Not going to do that now because it's already installed. But essentially, all you need to do is go, if I remember correctly, ddev config. This will then give me prompts, so I can give it a name. I can tell it the doc root, which is web. Understand that, and it automatically figures out that the project type is Drupal 8. Awesome. Okay, now all we need to do is run ddev start. But before we do that, let's now set up, because I'm going to be using PHP Storm because that's my preferred choice of editors. So let me just run this and give it a second to index. So let me just quickly open this up. When you run ddev config, it creates this .ddev file here, folder, sorry, and then in it we have config.yaml, and here you can configure a whole bunch of stuff. So you can change the PHP version, the server type, the ports. If you want Xdebug enabled, I'd recommend that you set it to false if you don't need it, because it does slow things down. But the most important thing, especially if you are on Mac OS, is this. Make sure this is set to true, because it literally speeds up your site 10 times faster. Honestly, it is amazing. And you can see that. And you can see that everything here. Wait, let me just double check. Oh, let me just set this back down. Okay, there we go. And there were a few things here. Let me just enable Drupal support. This is very annoying with PHP Storm. Let me just set the version to, and then we'll set Drupal syntax highlighting. Now it's going to have to index again. CPU's gone 100%, whatever. Okay, just give that a second. Okay, so now we've done all of that. And now what we're going to do is simply run ddev start. So it's automatically going to create a host. So you get a nice URL. And because we turned on the web cache enabled, it does this type of stuff. Anyway, and then you can access your local site on this URL or HTTPS or localhost. I'm going to select it this way, but let me just copy that because I'm going to be using a different browser instead of the default browser. And if I paste that in there, we have a Drupal site that needs to be installed, and this should only take about, I think, 46 seconds, which is ridiculously fast. So let's just go in there and install it. And if you have ever installed a Drupal 8 site, you'll probably be looking at this and go, "Whoa, this is fast," because this is ridiculously fast. And I only discovered this option when I was Google searching because they added this option in 1.5, but I've been using it since 1.3 and I didn't notice the option, and yeah, trust me, use it. And we're installed. So let's call this directory Ivan at example. So I'm just doing install. Okay, I'm just putting a basic username and password, and I'll turn off updates because it's just going to slow things down. And we're done. So there we go. That is how you install a site using ddev and Composer. All right, now let's jump into the fun things. So what are we doing today? Well, we are going to create a basic directory. I know it's not the most sexiest thing, I understand, but I believe that to build a directory website, you have to touch a decent amount of Drupal, like certain parts of Drupal. You need to create your content types. You need to use Search API for views. You want to use Bootstrap for the theme, which we're going to be using. What else? Views, custom blocks, Webform. We're going to be using that. So, media management. I'm just looking through my notes right here. I'm going to be using paragraphs as well. So the first thing we want to do, so I'll open up my notes, is figure out, let's just stop and take a few minutes to figure out what type of content types we are going to create. Because whenever you start building a Drupal site, the first thing you want to do is figure out what type of content types and fields you are going to use, because Drupal's strength is really in the field system. So we'll just call this content types. So when you think of a directory or some type of listing site, the first thing you'll think of is, well, we need a content type called listing, okay? And then what type of fields would this have? Well, this can have all sorts of fields, but it will need a body field, which comes by default. Let's add an email field, listing categories where they can select multiple categories. This will also require a vocab called listing categories. So this will be a taxonomy vocab. Just so I remember that. What else? Logo. Let's put in a logo, and also website. Now, I'm sure if you've been on a directory website, they have way more fields than this, but I don't want to spend the next 25 minutes creating a whole bunch of fields. So these are kind of the main ones, okay? Body, email, listing categories, logo, and website. And let's also create a blog content type. I know we can use article, but I always like to create blog because article is just too generic. So what type of fields would we put in a blog content type? Well, first thing is body. Again, this comes by default, which is great. Comments, featured image, tags, and also blog categories. Okay, and then that also means we will have to create a blog categories vocab. All right. So I think this is good enough. What we're going to do now is let's jump to our site and let's go to structure, content types. And from here, you can manage all of your content types. And let's first create one called listing, used for adding, let's call it used for adding listings. All right, could have come up with a better description, but I never come up with a good description. And we can control the preview if you want it enabled. I'll just set it to disabled, and let's go to publishing options, set promoted to front page, turn that off, turn off display author and date information, it's not required, and also menus, because you won't be adding listings to menus. And let's just click on save and manage fields. Now let's create our fields. So the first field we need is email, listing categories, logo, and website. So you can see that body has already been created. So let's just add in email. So luckily there is an email field. So from here you can select all of the different field types, and you can see that there are a bunch here. And in Drupal 8 we have a few new ones: date, email, link. There's also other new ones here, but I can't think of them right now. But let's just stick with email, and we'll give it a label of email. And then let's just make it required. And the next one will be website, and we'll use the link. So let's just call this website. And also, now this allowed number of values. This allows fields to have multiple values. So you could have the email field or the website field allow users to add in multiple websites on the one field. But for us, we just want to allow the users to enter in one field. And then from here, you can configure a few things specific to the link field. So the first one is what type of links do you want to allow? Internal, external. Let's just make it external, and let's turn off the link text and hit save. What else? And okay, so logo and listing categories. So let's open up another browser and create our vocab. So all I'm going to do is go into structure, taxonomy, and then create a new vocabulary called listing categories. Let me just zoom this in so you guys can see it a bit better. Apologies for that. And let's just create a few terms. Motoring, I don't know, marketing, very boring categories. And let's just create also our blog categories as well, because I know we're going to need that. And then just click on save, and we'll call this, I don't know, what type of categories are we going to have? Software. Now, when you think about it, what would a directory website blog about really? Software, cars, and planes. I don't know. Just putting in whatever, doesn't matter. Okay. Now the last thing we need to do, I'm gonna jump ahead, but what I'm gonna do is quickly just install the media module, because we're gonna be using the media module for the logo. But I will be covering media management later on. But I just want to install the module because we need a field from it. So let's go back into listing, manage fields, and click on add field, and you will see that there is a media field, and we'll call this one logo, and click on save and continue. Again, let's just leave this as media, and we'll only allow one image to be uploaded, and we'll click on save, and let's just make it required, and we'll make sure that the media type is image. Perfect. And last but not least, let's go into and select taxonomy term, and we'll call this one listing categories. Let's just call it the same thing because it makes perfect sense. And now you may want to change this because you may want to allow users to select multiple categories. So if you want to allow listings to be part of multiple categories, well, then you will set this to unlimited, or you will set it to 3 or 4 if you want them to select 3 or 4 items, but let's just leave it at 1 for now. And what I'll do is I'll make this required as well, and let's just select listing categories. Okay. So far, we've created our content type, and if we go into content, add content, listing, you'll see we have our title, body, email, website, logo, and this autocomplete field. Now, let's fix up the widgets, okay? Let's fix them up just to kind of make things a little easier. So to do that, let's go back into structure, manage fields, then go under manage form display. Now in Drupal 8, the manage form display is new. In Drupal 7, I think it was only manage fields and manage display, but the manage form display allows you to control the widgets. So you can see that there are a lot of widgets here. And so the first thing we'll do is let's move up. I always like the image up the top. I don't know why, I just prefer it. Logo, so we'll have title, logo, body. Let's move up listing categories. But instead of an autocomplete field, let's make it not a checkbox. No. Select list, okay? So it's a nice drop down. And then with the website, let's move that below listing categories. And last but not least, let's add an email. And then hit save. And then if we refresh, we have title, logo, body. We get a nice select list of our categories, website, and email. Okay, awesome. What are we going to do next? The next thing we're going to do is create our blog content type. So let's just quickly do that. Now, I'm going to probably speed through it because I'm pretty much going to rinse and repeat the same thing. And this is one thing that can be annoying about Drupal is that if you have to create 5 or 6 content types, you end up spending a lot of time just creating your content types, creating your fields, and I kind of call it click-based development. It's just a little funny thing. Anyway, I'm going to probably speed through this much quicker. So yeah, if I move through something very quickly, luckily this is a video, you can pause, you can rewind, you can even, I think, slow me down, so do whatever you want, but I will zoom through this pretty quickly. So the first thing we'll do is go back into content types, and we'll call this one blog used for blog posts. Very original, Ivan. Let's turn off preview. Let's promote it to front page. Who honestly uses that these days? Let's leave create revision on by default. Let's leave display author and date information, and we'll turn off available menus because you're not going to be adding in blog posts to menus unless that's your thing. Okay. So what I'll do now is let me just go into, I'm just looking at my other screens to make sure I've got the right thing. Okay. So again, let's add in featured image, which is a media. So this is going to be a media entity. So we'll call this featured image. And let's just, actually, let's not make it mandatory. Because sometimes you may want to create a blog post, but you don't have the feature image ready at hand. Because I know when I write blog posts for WebWash, the feature image is the very last thing I put in. So I've learned that from experience. Okay, so we have the body featured image. Is it feature or featured image? Oh, who cares? Okay, let's put in tags. Now, one thing I'll also mention is you can reuse fields. So luckily for us, because we installed Drupal using the standard installation profile, there is an existing tags vocabulary and also a field. So instead of creating a new field, let's just reuse it. Makes perfect sense. So that's what we're going to do. We'll simply reuse this, and then we'll call it, we'll select tags as the vocab. What else? Blog categories. Let's just quickly do that. Blog categories. And let's make that required because it's very important for information architecture. And the last thing we'll do is add comments. Now, this comment field has already been created on the article content type, I believe, so we don't have to add it back in. So let's just click on save, and we don't need to select required field, and let's just leave everything as it is. And now let's go into manage form display. And what I'll do is I'll just reorder this and clean up a few things. So the first thing is move body to the top. Again, move featured image above, which I like. Where's tags? Let's just move tags there. Blog categories. And now what we need to do is clean up a few things. And let me just show you why. So if I go into content, add content. Now, if this is the first video you are watching about Drupal and also how to create content in Drupal, I apologize because I will be flying through this pretty quickly. But to create content, you just click on the content tab under manage and then click on add content. And then from here, you can create a content based off a particular content type. So let's go on the blog, and you can see that we have title, featured image, body, and then we have this tags, which doesn't quite look, that just doesn't look nice, okay? And that is because there is autocomplete, but autocomplete tag style. And so let's select that for tags. Let's select list for featured, and we'll leave everything as it is, but I've probably missed something, because if I was to let's create a test blog post. Let's leave that. Let me just get some dummy content. I love this Hipsum. If you want some cool dummy content, just go to, hipsum.co. Oh, let me add that to the show notes because I'm sure people are going to ask for it. Where's my notes here? All right. All right, let's go back here. And then if I select, let's just select that. Well, actually, no, let's just refresh this page, sorry. We get a drop down, awesome. Let's paste this stuff in. No, that's not it. Let's paste this stuff in. And if we click on save, everything works well, that's great. But let's now put in a tag. So let's put in, I don't know, views, for example. And click on save. We are going to get, there are no entities matching views. Now, the whole point of tags is that if a tag doesn't exist, it should automatically create it, right? That's how it should work. Now, to do that, there is always one option that I always forget when I reuse the tags field. And if you go back into edits, you'll see this tiny little option, create reference entities if they do not already exist. That's it. So let's just do that. And then if we go back here and click on save again, it's going to create it because it doesn't exist. And also we get the tag. Brilliant. Okay, and let's just make sure the comments are down at the bottom. You can see the comments are here, which is great. And so far, so good. Let me just quickly mention revisions. Now we've turned on revisions, which is great. You can turn them on here. Where is it? I was here. Okay. Create new revisions. That's awesome. So every time we create a blog post, where is the revisions tab? Oh, it's under here. So you can add in a revision log. You can put in a message here, and then this create new revisions is checked by default. And if you want to see the revisions, as long as you have the correct permissions, you can see the revisions here, and you can also revert back, which is great. Okay, now let me just quickly look at my notes. So we created our content type, which is awesome. Now, another thing I want to quickly show you before we move on. Oh no, that's in the next section. Anyway, forget I said anything. Okay, so in the first section, we've created our content types. Well, let's just create a listing before we move on. Let's go in here, listings, test listing. Oh, let's upload. Wait, where is this stuff? Let me just quickly find some dummy assets because I've got this. Okay, so now let's just quickly create a media item, because right now you cannot create a media item from here. You need to go to another page. Now we're going to fix that in the media section, so don't worry. So let's go under image, and let's add the Google logo, and I've got a Google logo here. Actually, let's not do that just in case I get picked up on copyright. Let's not do that. Let's put in a awesome ugly logo that I created. I just don't want this video to be pulled down because of copyright issues. And let's just click on save. Okay, so we've created our image. And if I search for it in here, what is a company logo? Yep. And let me just get a bit of Hipsum. And let's select marketing department, and we'll call it contact@example.com. And let's give it this a better title, my awesome listing. Why not? And then we click on save. You see this awesome listing, you see stuff here. Okay, it's looking okay. Now we will fix this up later on, but for now, this looks okay. And yes, everything's working. Awesome. Okay, now let's modify what the listing looks like. Because when you start a Drupal project, okay, the first few days or first few hours, depending how complex your data model is, you'll spend time creating all your content types, all your vocabularies, all your media types, all your paragraph types, and so on and so forth. And then you'll spend 80% of your time, the rest of the time, just modifying what the site looks like. Because that's where a lot of the effort comes into when it comes to building a Drupal site. So what we're going to do is let's modify this listing so that it's displayed into columns. Now there's multiple ways you can do this, okay? If you really want to, you can override the twig templates for this listing. You can do that. You can implement everything in code. You can use display suite, which I prefer. You can use page manager or panels. That's a very heated discussion. People either love or hate panels, but I think panels is slowly getting replaced with layout builder, which is an experimental module in Drupal. And I'm not going to cover it in this long video. I will probably do a separate video on layout builder. So to kind of speed things up, what I'll probably do is use display suite. So if we search for Drupal display suite, you can see all three of my videos appear there. That's interesting. And then if we click on display suite here, let's zoom this in. I don't know why Chrome doesn't keep you zoomed in. Anyway, now make sure you go to drupal.org/project/ds. Let me just pop this into here, modules, just so we know. And this has a stable release, and it's pretty stable. I've used it on pretty much every single Drupal 8 project that I've worked on, and I'd highly recommend it. Okay, so to install this, we're going to be using Composer. So unfortunately, yes, we're going to be using Composer. Composer is the future, and I don't think we're going to be... Oh no, I think... So the benefit of using Composer is that you can ship third-party libraries like PHP libraries which aren't Drupal modules with your Drupal module. Now for most modules don't ship third-party libraries, except I think Search API, if I remember correctly. Anyway, or maybe Search API Solar. But I do recommend that you just get used to Composer because it is the future. So what we're going to do is just grab this DS. Let me jump into here and I'll type in Composer require Drupal/DS. It's going to now go do its thing. Let me save this into the notes. Composer commands so that I can add this to the show notes. And just give that a second. And if you want to learn more about Display Suite, yes, just head over to Display Suite and have a look through it. I'd highly recommend it. As I mentioned, it's a great tool for managing entities. So essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to be controlling everything that's on the Manage Display page. So everything from here. Now, with the layout discovery module, which is a core module, you can, the layout discovery module does allow you to implement layouts with regions, but Display Suite just adds extra functionality, such as being able to change the actual elements, which is used on regions, and also adding in arbitrary classes, which is very useful, and I'll show you in the paragraph section. So let's have a look at this. This is installed. You can see that it's installed. Awesome. If we have a look at PHP Storm and go, where is it? Web. Let's close this. Web. Where is it? Modules. Contrib. Everything's here. Awesome. So now let's go into Extend. If we search for Display Suite, you'll see Display Suite here. And also let's turn on Display Suite Extras, because that has this cool little feature where you can control the templates of the field within Display Suite. We'll cover that in a later thing, but it's important for now. So let's just install this. And then if you go under Structure, you'll see Display Suite. And from here, you can go directly to the Manage Display page. You can create your arbitrary classes. And Display Suite has its own field system. And I hate to say field system, but do not get confused as the field system in Drupal, where these field like Display Suite fields are just like glorified formatters. and that's it. Okay? Because in Drupal, a field consists of, so let me just quickly go here. A field consists of the actual value, how it's stored, the widget, how it's shown to an editor, and then finally the formatter, how it's rendered to the end user. So a field has three parts to it. How it's stored, and that's the field type. How it's rendered to the editor in a form, that's the field widget, and also the field formatter. And if you implement if you implement your own field, your own custom field, you will have to define a plugin for the field type, the field widget, and the formatter, especially if it's a very custom thing. You can, of course, use existing widgets and formatters for it, but just remember, a field type has three. Now, a display suite field is just a field formatter, and it only appears if display suite controls the actual layout. So let's go back here. And what we're going to do is let's go into listing. And what I like to do is I always like to use the full content view mode. Now view modes, that's a whole other conversation. So view modes allow you to contextually group formatters together. So a teaser is often used on the homepage. So if we go to the homepage, by default here, you'll see, no, that's not it. Where's the page? I think it's, what is it, /node? Where is the node page? Let me just quickly check. There used to be because nothing's displayed to the homepage. Okay, cool. All right, let me just go here. Promote, where is this? Promote to front page. So if we go here, promote to front page. Okay, so this is the blog content type, but it is being rendered using the teaser view mode. So if we go to let's go to the manage display on the blog. And if you want to modify this look and feel or the teaser view mode, you would simply modify this one. Okay. If you want to modify this view mode, this is the full content view mode. You have to go back into display. This is the full content view mode. Now, default is used as kind of the fallback view mode. So if you try and render if you were to have, say, a custom view mode and you try to render it on a content type which didn't implement it, well, then it will fall back to the default view mode. But if you want to control this view mode, so anything which is using the canonical URL, so the canonical being node/id, or if we're on the listing page, node/to, then you need to implement it. You need to modify the full content view mode. So let's go back into listing, manage display, and we've implemented this, which is great. And then from the drop down, we can select a whole bunch of display suite fields. And what I'll do, let me just check and see which one I'm actually implementing. No, that's not it. Full content and 2-column. It's a Bootstrap one. Anyway, all right. So so let's just select 2-column, and you get a nice little preview of it. And you can also get the template suggestions for overriding. Now, I won't be covering Twig and how to override stuff in depth in this video, maybe in a future video. But yeah, this is a little nice bit of information which helps you just save a bit of time because you don't have to search for it. So let's just click on save, and then what we need to do is just add in the fields into the right region. So let's just take links out, and let's put email. Well, let's put logo in the right hand column and leave categories in the left and website below logo. And then if we hit save, and then if we refresh, this, you can see that everything's kind of floated. Now, the reason why things are floated is because there is a bit of styling happening here, which is a bit annoying, but that's just Bartek, which is the theme we're using right now. Where is it? It's somewhere here. Anyway, I thought it was. Anyway, I'm sure there's a bit of styling here that just kind of floats things. Okay, so let's just clean this up. Let's remove the label. Let's hide the label and the logo, and let's leave it on website and email because that makes perfect sense. And let's just modify the formatter. Select thumbnail, and we'll just resize it so it's a nice size using an image style. And there we go. So where is website? Did we put in a website? No, we didn't. Let's just quickly go in here and put in a website. HTTPS. No, let's not do that. Example.com. Okay. So now you can see that, yeah, we have the logo on the right. It's looking a bit nicer, I think. And yeah, we are slowly building out our Drupal site. Okay, now I'm just looking at my list of things to do. We're going to skip that. Okay, now let's jump in and use an actual theme. Now, for this, I'm going to be using the Bootstrap theme. Now, the issue with the Bootstrap theme, well, it's not really an issue, but it's something that I keep thinking about, is that the Bootstrap theme only supports Bootstrap 3. So this is the project / Bootstrap. And this is the I think it's the most popular Drupal theme on Drupal.org, but it uses Bootstrap 3, not Bootstrap 4.1, I think is the latest. Now, there are modules out there that use, themes that use Bootstrap 4. Barrio is one of them. Radix, I think Radix, yeah, that's how you pronounce it, is one that just, I think, yeah, in October released a stable for version 4. But Radix I like because it allows you to compile Sass locally and do all that stuff. But the Bootstrap theme allows you to create sub-themes, which are CDN or which are Sass and which are less. And just for this video, we're going to be focusing on the Sass version. No, sorry, the CDN version. So we're pulling in Bootstrap through a CDN just so it's nice and quick and easy, just so that we don't have to set things up. Now, I will be doing a future tutorial on the Radix theme, so stay tuned for that. And let me just pop this in the notes just so people, because I'm sure people will ask, oh, what's that theme you recommended? And which one's the other one? Barrio. I already have a video on Bootstrap Barrio, but after I posted the video on Bootstrap Barrio, the actual maintainer of Radix added a comment saying, oh, you know, there is Radix. And I remember using Radix in Drupal 7. I used it a lot, but I didn't know it was actually getting worked on in Drupal 8 because I just didn't come to the page, which is great. Oh, and also another thing about Radix is that to create the sub-theme, you need to use, there is a drush command, but it only supports drush 8, not drush 9. And I use drush 9 for pretty much everything these days, especially if you use the, where is it? Yeah, this actually ships with drush 9 out of the box, and also Drupal console. So that's just a bit of an annoying thing about Radix. But that is an issue with drush 9. It is not an issue with Radix. My understanding of the problem is that it is a drush 9 issue. Okay. So let's now download Bootstrap. So how do we do that? If you said use Composer, well then you get a cookie. You're correct. So let's go and run Composer require Bootstrap Drupal. Let me just grab that. All right. Let's just say I've got that for the notes. There's going to be a lot of Composer commands here. Let's just clean this up. And it's just going through here. So let me just have a quick sip of my water. So if you're drinking a tea or coffee or a beer, let's just take a minute to refresh ourselves. There we go. I've always thought to do, like, I don't know, push-ups or sit-ups when Composer or NPM install is running. Anyway, okay, so now we have Bootstrap in there. Awesome. And if we go to Appearance, you'll see Bootstrap here, which is great. Now what we're going to do is let's create a sub-theme. Now, if you are new to themes in Drupal and new to the whole concept of sub-themes, let me just quickly explain. So let's go into here and let's open up Themes Contrib. And you can see that Bootstrap has downloaded. Now, the concept of sub-theming is that it allows you to inherit styles and templates without modifying the parent or the base theme. Because imagine this. You have downloaded Bootstrap and then you're like, oh, let me modify one thing. And then you want to modify something in the node template. So you come here and you modify something in the node templates and everything's fine. But then a new version of Bootstrap comes out, or there's a security update, or there's a security release for Bootstrap. But you have overridden this template. Now, if you update Bootstrap, but you have modified the node twig template, then all of your modifications are gone. So the recommendation is you never ever modify your base theme. You always create a sub theme and then just modify the sub theme, because if you want to modify, say, the node template, you can easily copy paste this into your templates directory, and Drupal is smart enough to override the parent theme, the parent twig template with your twig template in the base, in your sub theme. Okay. So what we're going to do is let's go into Starter Kit. And luckily for us, Bootstrap has a bunch of sub themes. So you can easily just grab, copy and paste and do whatever you want. Now under Starter Kits, you do have CDN, Less, and Sass. If you want to pull in Bootstrap via the CDN, use CDN. If you want to compile Bootstrap 3 with Less, I think only Bootstrap 3 uses Less, then use a Less version. If you want to compile Bootstrap 3 using Sass, then use the Sass. Starter Kit. I do have, let me check. WebWash, Bootstrap, Sass. I do have a tutorial on compiling Sass. Jump to. Oh, smart. Okay, go away. All right, so I do have a whole tutorial on how to set up the Bootstrap theme. I will just add this to the notes so I can add it in later. So if you want to learn more about it, there is a WebWash tutorial about it. Okay. Anyway, that's enough plugin. All right, let's now jump into here and let's just quickly create a sub theme, CDN sub theme. So let me just copy this. And I always like to create a folder called theme. Oh no, what am I doing, Ivan? It is late here. Call it custom so that it's themes, custom. No, don't do that. Okay, so that it's themes, custom, and then if we go paste into there, let's call this directory. What is it? Bootstrap underscore directory, and let's just copy that because I know we're going to be using that. Bootstrap. Did I spell Bootstrap? I've probably spelled a few things wrong. Anyway, okay. So we've pasted that in. Now what we need to do is go through all the files and pretty much replace anything that has theme name with our actual theme name. So if we do here, go do a find and replace, I think it is. What is it? Theme name. Yeah, I don't like to do that. I don't like to do find and replace because sometimes it modifies things that I don't want it to modify. Anyway. So let's just quickly replace this. replace this. Let's go here. No, that looks good. That looks good. Oh, replace that. Name. That looks okay. That looks okay. Let's close that. Okay, let's go into here. Refactor. And then let's go into here. Oh, no. Refactor. But most important now, this is important. Make sure you change starter kit to info. Because if you don't, then your theme will not appear in appearance and you'll be scratching your head why it's not appearing. So make sure you change starter kit to .info. Oh, where did that all go? I think it's .info. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's it. And last but not least, theme like that, and then hit refactor. This is all looking good. Last thing is, let's change this name and change libraries. Okay, so this will pull in the libraries which is defined in the libraries.yaml. This is new in Drupal 8. It allows you to define just arbitrary CSS and JavaScript files as kind of like a library. And then you can say, okay, pull in the library which is global styles, which is from the module or the theme name. So you'll enter in the theme or module name here, and then the style. So modules can also implement custom libraries, and this is actually pretty cool. I do like it. It's a nice way of keeping things clean. And you can see here that our base theme is Bootstrap, exactly what we want. And then let's just have a quick look. Let's just do another quick search. Theme name, where's that? Oh, that's in the README. Oh, who cares about that? And if you want to, read the README. And if you want to modify CSS, you will modify it in here, which we may modify. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So we've done that, which is awesome. Now, what I like to do, where's my correct thing? Okay. Let's just refresh. Let's first, and this is what I do, is let's first switch on Bootstrap. And then what I'll do is switch on Bootstrap directory. And I want to make sure that the blocks have gone into the right area. Awesome. Okay, so you can see here, the blocks have gone into the right area. Now, just a top tip. If you install your sub-theme first, the site may look broken. It will probably look broken. And that is because these blocks may not have been added into the right regions. And the reason why I installed the Bootstrap theme first is if you go into config, install, oh wait, no, that's not it, optional, you'll see that the Bootstrap theme ships config for the placement of the blocks. So it's smart enough to say, okay, block, I don't know, footer goes into this region, and the main menu goes into which region? I don't know, somewhere here. System, main menu, defines region. Yeah, here you go. Into navigation, collapsible region. And everything works fine because the Bootstrap theme ships the config. If you go under here, you'll see that there's no configuration for the blocks. Now, you would think, oh no, I hate saying that. I actually thought that maybe Drupal was smart enough to figure out, because you're using the base theme, to pull in these optional YAML files, but it doesn't. Unless that's been fixed recently, as of like a month ago. But if you installed the sub theme first and then your site looks broken, like blocks are all over the place and just looks yuck, well then what I recommend you do is you install the base theme first. No, what is it? Yeah, the base theme first, and then have a look at all of these blocks in these regions and then just manually add them in. I know it's kind of like an annoying workaround, but that's the way it is. Okay, so we've added in Bootstrap, which is awesome. We've added that in. We now have a Bootstrap looking site, which is amazing. Pretty much this site looks like 90% of the other websites out there in the world. So, I mean, jokes aside, it's kind of like this ongoing joke with a few friends of mine about Bootstrap, and I personally like it because I'm not a front-end designer. I don't want to spend time, but then I know front-end people say, oh, now every site looks like a Bootstrap site. Anyway, So now we have Bootstrap, we have a sub-theme, and now we can modify things. Now what I want to do is let's look at the block system. Okay, because the block system has changed a lot in Drupal. And it is more powerful in Drupal 8 than it is in Drupal 7. So I've already mentioned blocks. So if you want to manage blocks and control them, well, then you just go to structure and block layout. And from here, you can control all of the blocks. Oh, no, sorry. Forget I said that. Let's jump back into appearance. Let me just quickly modify a few things. So if you go into appearance and then Bootstrap directory, from here, you can control a whole bunch of stuff. And one thing I do like is, where is it? Yeah, you can control the container. You can just control a whole bunch of stuff. But one of the cool things is you can control the theme. So Bootswatch is a free. Well, they do, I think, have premium themes, but they actually offer a whole bunch of skins, I think you'll call it, for Bootstrap, where you just modifies a variables file. And you can easily create a good looking site, a very basic looking site, just by selecting one of these options. And let me just have a look and see which one I'm using on my current test site. Which one am I using? Yeti, that one. That's the one that I'm using. Okay, so let's just do that and click on save. And then if we go to the home page, that doesn't need, and then we need to, what is it, ddev, we need to refresh, we need to rebuild the site cache. So what is it? I always forget the command. So if you want to access Drush within your Docker container in ddev, you just run ddev exec and then your Drush command. And that will go ahead and refresh it. And then if we hit refresh, you can see we have a nice newer-ish looking bootstrappy site. I don't know. It looks okay. Okay. All right. So one other thing I want to talk about before we move on about Bootstrap is that there is another module which I would highly recommend, and that is Bootstrap. What is it? Bootstrap Layouts Drupal. And this allows you to implement Bootstrap layouts, essentially. So there is a stable release, and let's just install this. So what is it? Require. Cool. Okay, let's just go back here and install this. Let's just give that a second while it goes through its composer magic. And I have talked about Bootstrap layouts in the past, so let me just bring this up, and I'll add a link to the show notes. And the good thing about this module is that you can use it on any Bootstrap theme. You don't have to use it on a site that's just using the Bootstrap theme. It can be any type of theme. Because it's a module, it doesn't have any dependencies with themes. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, let's now check out Composer. Composer's actually been doing okay with this parallel downloading, surprisingly. I'm just checking the time. We're at 47 minutes. Oh no, sorry, 57 minutes. Oh, doing well. So let's just give that a second. It's coming in, it's downloading, and we are done. Okay, awesome. Now let's go into our site and then go under here, and let's just type in, what is it? Bootstrap layouts. Cool. Awesome. And now what we're going to do is we're going to modify our display suite settings. So if we go under structure, listing, and then go manage display, and then go under full content, and if we select a layout from here, you'll see we get this new option called Bootstrap. So these are all Bootstrap powered layouts. And if we select one and click on save, and then let's just move things into the right regions. now, if we go to our listing, where's the listing page? These layouts should be controlled. Let me just increase it. Oh, let me just close that. If we have a look at these layouts, they should be the whole standard. Yep. So it should be col, small, 6, and so on and so forth. Which is perfect, which is exactly what we want. Now, we can even control the width of the column. And this is one thing that I like about using Bootstrap layouts and also Display Suite. If we go down here and select the region, you can say, okay, well, actually, I want the left to be a small 8 and the right to be a small 4. Because remember, it has to equal to 12. I think that's how he does it. And then if we hit refresh, you'll see everything's been like shimmied across, moved across. And then if let's inspect it again, and you'll see that this region is a small 4, which is awesome. And this is a small 8. Okay, pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, so I highly recommend you use Bootstrap layouts if you are going to use Bootstrap, because you can change the width of the columns without writing any custom code, which is absolutely awesome, which is the reason why we use Drupal, right? Click-based development, that's what it's all about. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for Bootstrap. Of course, if you are using Bootstrap on a proper site, you'll probably want to compile Sass locally, and then that's going to require a whole bunch of other stuff, which I don't want to cover in this video, maybe in a future video. I do want to cover Radix, as I mentioned. I do want to cover that in a future video. Okay, now let's talk about the block system and the menu system. Now I'm going to kind of merge together. So the block system in Drupal, let's go here, okay, click on here. So here you can see all the regions. So themes implement regions. And if you go into, where is it? Into the .info file, you'll see the regions have been defined like this. So if you want to add in a custom region, you can just go in here, create your custom region. But then, of course, you need to add things to the, to the page.tpl, which we will do in a second, because I'm just going to have a quick look at my code. Where is it? We'll need to open up another. Just bear with me for 1 second as I open up another bit of test code. What is it? No, new window. New window, I'll move that over here. Okay, cool. Alrighty, just double check that. That's all working perfectly fine. Cool. Okay, awesome. Now, let's first look at the block system. Okay, so as I mentioned, adding blocks, you want to add blocks to regions. But one thing that's new in Drupal is this whole custom block library. So in typical Drupal fashion, everything is pretty much an entity, and a lot of things are fieldable entities, which means you can attach custom fields to them. Now in Drupal 7, if you wanted to create a block and then attach fields to it, you would have to use, bean module, like blocks, entities, I don't know, it just means something. Anyway, I use the bean module. Now in Drupal 8, there's a module called, I think, custom block or block custom. No, I think it's called custom block that implements a custom. Don't want to say custom too many times, but it implements an entity type called block or custom block, and then you can create your block types. So here you can see that we have a custom block type called basic block, and then if we click on here, we can add something and then just click on save, and then this block is treated as content, and then you can add it to a region. So let's just create one called promo. I don't know, let's just create one called promo. We'll call this promo. Add your company to our directory. Okay. And then let's just create a thing called register. And we'll create a link, okay? We'll create this page later on, register. And if we click on save, you can see we have now this block. Now, one thing to be aware of, and this comes into the whole configuration management, is that this is treated as content, not config. So be aware of that. And then if we go under the block layout, we can go, where's sidebar second? So again, if you want to see where all the regions are, let's add something to the secondary, sorry. So if we go under, scroll all the way down to secondary, click on place block, we should see our promo, which is custom, or you can create a custom block directly from here. And if you click on place block, you can control a few things, okay? You can first control the title, if it should be displayed or not. And then you get access to these visibility settings now. This is actually pretty cool. But this stuff has been around in Drupal for a while, but it is still pretty cool. So you can control which pages this block will appear on. Or you can specify the roles that should see this block. Another thing you can do is specify which content type these blocks should appear on. And then if you want to implement your own visibility settings, there is, I think, the condition plugin, which is actually pretty cool in Drupal 8 because it is a plugin. And I remember trying to do this in Drupal 7 and it was just very procedural and it was hard to test and things like that. But in Drupal 8, you have the, I think, condition API, which is just a plugin. So if you do have a very specific visibility rule that can't be implemented this way and you need to write custom code, well, you can implement your own, of course. So that's another thing to be aware of. So let's just let's uncheck display title and click on secondary, and let's just add it to the top. If we go to the home page, you'll see we get this nice little block here, and it's just above search. Add your company to our directory, and then you click on register, and yeah, just go somewhere, okay? It's not that groundbreaking, but I think you get the idea on what you can do. Now let's create a few new regions. So let's just imagine we want to add a few more regions down at the bottom, because if we go back to structure and then go, what is it, demonstrate block? Yeah, you can see that there's only one footer region. Now, come on, often you might have 4 regions down the bottom. So how do you do that in Drupal? Well, there's actually 2 parts to it. First, you need to define the region, and second, you need to actually add it to the template, okay? So before we do that, let's just have a pit stop. Let me just have a quick sip of my water because I am trying to record this all in one go. Okay, so now we're at 1 hour and 6 minutes. I really want to see how long this goes for. Anyway, let's now create and define let's first now define our regions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add in 4 footer regions. So footer 1, footer 2, footer 3, footer 4, beautifully named. I just can't be bothered coming up with better names. But you know how they have like postscript 1, postscript 2, postscript 3, whatever. And now we need to add these to our actual page. But how do we do that? Because if you go under templates, there's nothing there. Well, what you need to do is you need to override a template. So if we go under Bootstrap, templates, and then system, you'll see that there is a page. But we don't want to modify this, remember. The reason why we created a sub-theme is because when we modify Bootstrap in the future, we can easily just grab this and copy it across, okay? Remember that. We don't want to modify this. We could, okay? Let's be bad, okay? Let's be really bad. Let's just modify this. And then I need to rebuild the site cache. And then if I was to add this and then hit refresh, we should see these regions, which is great. But again, this is a terrible idea. It's a very bad idea because what happens when you update this? Okay, what happens when you update Bootstrap? Well, your modifications are kaput. They're thrown out the door and then your site breaks. So what we're going to do is let's just undo that. Let's copy this. And I don't think you have to follow the exact structure. You just need to put it in a templates directory, but you don't have to put it in systems. But I like to follow the structure just so that it's easy for me to reference back the original. So if I go, no, what did I do there? So what was that? System. So if I go under here, new folder. No, I think I can actually, let's try this. Yeah, whatever. System, and then go, what is it? Page.html.twig. Awesome. And then let's just copy this. And to make sure we are actually pulling in this template, I always like to just add stuff down at the bottom. Now you can turn off twig caching and things like that, but that really slows down the site. And yeah, can't be bothered doing that right now because I have to fiddle with things. But if we refresh, you'll see that, yep, it's pulling in our template. So now what I need to do is let me just pop this in. And this is pretty basic. I mean, this is the most important part. So for every single region, you want to add in this twig variable. So page dot and then the name of the region. That's very important. And this container is actually a variable which is up the top here, which defines where is it? Container here. Yeah, so this is just a Bootstrap-ism for the Bootstrap theme. But this is the most important thing. So if we want to create a, awesome region, awesome, okay, well then you would need to, again, go page.awesome, okay, and then just rebuild your site cache and you are good to go. But we don't have to do that, so let's just disable that. And if we rebuild, give that a second, and then jump back here, we should see our regions, which is awesome. Okay, so now if we go into block and then go, let's just move the footer there, the powered by, and make sure you click on save. I always forget to click on save blocks, and I'll just put like, I don't know, about us, blah, 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 blah. Let me just copy all that stuff in there. Yeah, display that everywhere. Oh, no, not that one. Footer 3. And let's add that in. Oh, that's interesting. If I add this, it doesn't select the region that I've added it in. Anyway, contact us on 1300 whatever. I don't know if that's a number, don't really care. And then just click on save, and then this is block visibility. Again, you have to select the region. Okay, so save, click on save blocks. I always forget to do that. And then if we go back to the home page, you can see our blocks down at the bottom, which is awesome. Okay, so that's pretty much the blocks. The menus themselves can be modified. So if we were to, let's just create a about us page. So basic page, about us. If you were to click on edit and you go under menu settings and add menu, you can add a menu item directly to the main navigation. Or if you go under structure, menus, main navigation, and click on add menu, and you call this, I don't know, what is it, about us, and then this is an actual autocomplete field, which is awesome. So you'd search for about us. You can also put in just arbitrary URLs, or you can go nuts and just put in a absolute URL. And then if you want to point to the front, you just point to the front. So just because your autocomplete can't find something doesn't mean you can't point to it. But let me just check if you can actually just point to a route that doesn't actually exist. I'm curious. Oh, it does. Okay. Interesting. Okay, let's just fix this up. What is it? About us. Do that again. About us. Awesome. Selected it. Let's just reorder it. And then we go back here and you can see we have a about us page, which is pretty cool. Okay. All right. I think that's about it for the block system. There's not really much to it. The menu system, my experience with the menu system is that it's great and all that for basic menus. As soon as you want to create mega menus and do all that type of fancy stuff, then you really pull your hair out overriding twig templates and stuff like that. But I'm not going to cover that in a video. Okay, so now let's look at views. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, views. If this is the first time you're hearing about views, then I do apologize because you're going to get overwhelmed by some weird interface and you might get scared, but seriously, stick with me, okay? Because views is a very powerful module, but it does everything and it doesn't really do one thing well, it does everything, and it's a very generic module that's hard to kind of explain, okay? Now, just a bit of background. Views has been around for a few versions of Drupal, but in Drupal 8, it was moved into core. In Drupal 7 and below, it was the most popular, the most used Drupal module. But if you go under structure, views, you will see that here, you can see all of the views. Okay? And essentially what a view is views, the best way to explain views is that it is a query builder. It allows you to pretty much create queries and then you can modify what's displayed. That's probably kind of the best explanation. So here, let's just turn it on. So if you go under settings, click on show SQL query. And then if you go under listing and let's go media. So this media page, let me just close the list off. This media page is a views page, and you can see the query. And you can see the query which is actually generated. And then you can add in filters and sort criteria, and then you can control the contextual filters and then the relationships and so on and so forth, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a few views. And the first one is going to be a simple one, and that's the blog view. So remember, we created a blog. I don't know if you guys remember that. So here we have our test blog, but let's actually create a page so that if you go to /blog, it lists out all the blog posts, kind of like a blog index page. So to do that, let's go to views, add view, and we'll call this blog. Very original. And then view settings, this is where you define what you want to be shown. So content, type of, blog, and then sort by newest first. Yeah, makes sense. Click on create a page because we want a URL, and let's just leave that for now. So title, blog, path, blog, that's fine. And then you can add a menu link if you want. You can even add a menu link, but we can do all that stuff later. You can even include an RSS feed, which is awesome. So we've created a page, and then here you can see the example of it. And then if I click on save, so if I actually go, let me go to /blog now. You'll see that it's working. Simple. That was much easier than I thought. But let's just clean up a few things. So one cool thing you can do once you have Display Suite installed is that the manage display is here. And then it takes us directly to the teaser. Let's move, so body's above, and then we have links. And then we have this nice teaser listing. Of course, if we were building this for a proper site, we'd fix it up. But this is a very basic view. One other thing I want to mention, and also you can modify views from here as well. You don't have to go through structure and views. If you have I think it's a contextual link module turned on, which you should. If you have the standard installation profile module on, you will have edit view here. Now, one thing that views allows you to do is that you can have multiple displays within a view. So think of the view. So this, I don't want to say view too many times. I feel like I'm just repeating myself. So this view is called blog, but then the display is called page. And then if you go under advanced, you can see that the machine name is page 1, but you can change it to page blog. But one of the cool things about views is that you can create multiple pages. So let's say we want to create a block now, which uses the same query. So it's going to use this exact same query, but it's going to be displayed differently. So you can see here that the sort criteria is going to be the same, and also if it's published as well. If you click on add and then click on block, and you can see that our settings have changed. So now we have block settings, whereas on page, we have page settings. We can define access control and things like that. But under block, we have block settings. And then if we go, well, let's just save it for now. And then let's go to structure. And let's add in, so where's second? Where is secondary? Where are you, secondary? There you are. All right, so if we search for here, we should see, where is it? Blog. Ah, there we go. It's right there. So it's under the category lists view. If you click on place block, you can even control some settings within the view, which is awesome. But let's now control the visibility. So let's make it so that it only appears on the /blog page. So this block, let me explain this so I'm not speaking too fast. The blog will, no, let me do that again. The blog will only appear on the blog page. Say that 10,000 times, you'll go nuts. So, okay, where is it? Let me go here, and then you'll see that we get this blog block appearing here. But the problem is it's displaying the teaser. And let's now configure it. Another cool thing about contextual links is that you can edit the view directly from here, which is pretty cool. But let's now override a section. So if you have multiple displays within your view, you'll get this option, which is for all displays or override. So if you want to override one particular section, so let's just say you want to override the format section, what you can do is you can say override this, because if I was to change this to fields and then click on apply, it changes it for everything, okay? Because we have this all displays. But let me just change this back to teaser, yep. And then we'll go back here, you can see that teaser is selected. But if we would just want to modify this for this block, select modify for this block, and this will probably change to something else if it's a page or something. And then we select fields, and then we click on apply, and you can see that now we just have a single title. Okay. So let me just click on save. And then if we go to the blog page, you'll see that we get this basic blog listing here. And then if I was to create a awesome test blog, and then add this, and then if we go back to, where is it? You'll see that this appears here as well. And let's just modify our blog so that we have a menu item. Where is it? Which one is it? It's main menu, I think. Yep. And let's just call this blog, and then click on apply. Why isn't that appearing? Dun dun dun. Main navigation. That is a good question. Why is that not appearing? Oh, there it is. All right. Oh, you just have to probably clear the cache. All right. Yep, just had to clear the cache. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we've created this basic view. Well, it's a view with two displays. Now let's get into more complex things. Let's create a tab, which is under my account, which will display all of your listings. Okay. And it'll be smart enough to know that you should only have access to it if you can edit the user that you are on. So there's a bit of access control. So to do that, let's go back into structure. Structure, views, add view. We'll call this my listings. And then let's select listings first, latest. And then what we're going to do, let's just leave all this for now because I want to edit it in the next section. So the first thing we'll need to do is modify this path. And this is very, very important. Okay. So what we're going to have to do here is let's change this path so that it is /user and then %user / my -listing, because this needs to follow. So if we go up here, it needs to follow this path up the top here, user and then the user ID and then whatever you want after it. So let's just do that. And let's just quickly convert this to a table. What is it? Fields. Oh no, sorry, up here. Let's just quickly convert this to a table. And we'll just add a few extra fields in here. So what is it? Logo. So all I'm doing is adding in a bunch of fields. So title, logo, what else? Operation. Just keep it simple. Oh no, operation links. That's what I want. And let's just create posted dates. No, what is it? Authored. That's not posted dates. Authored on. I always get confused. And let's give this a proper format. There we go. And then if you want to reorder the fields, we'll reorder them like so. And then you can see the fields here. Awesome. Okay. So now if we go to, what is it? /my list. Was it my listing or my listings? My listings. You will see that we get this nice page, and also it's getting passed in through here. But before, now this is important. Whenever you're playing around with user accounts, make sure you're testing things out properly. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another test email, editor, test, and let's, let's just leave that, because what I want to do is I want to make sure that other listings don't appear on other people's page, because that is a very, very bad thing. So editor listing. So all I'm doing is creating another listing, email.com, because categories required. All right, so that's fine, because if I was to go say, what is that user account? Oh no, user account, editor, and that's user 2. Because if I was to go to /2, the same thing appears and everything appears there, okay? So all the listings appear there when actual fact editor listing should only appear for editor, and my awesome listing should only appear for the admin user. So now we get into the whole contextual filters, and this is where things get a bit funky. And it can take a bit of getting used to. So if you don't get it right the first time, just understand you're going to have to play around with it a lot. So contextual filters. Now, views will look at this contextual filter that's getting passed and then do things to the query. So if we click on add and then search for authored by, not authored on, authored by, because that's the user. And then we click on, wait, did I click on the right thing? No, I didn't. Okay. Let's do this again. Okay, so go under, so I'll make sure you're on my listing, advanced, contextual filters, and then search for authored by, and then make sure the category is content, not content revision. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Content, not content revision, okay? And that's the same for, I think, even the views as well. So you'll see here, what is it? Logo. Is there a content revision there? Title. Oh yeah, there are. Make sure you select category, content, not content revision. I think it still may work if it's content revision. Anyway, give it a go. Okay, under contextual links, contextual filters, search for authored by under category content. And let's add this in. Provide default value. This should be user ID from route context. So this essentially tells it to check the route context that's getting passed through, and it will grab the user ID from there. And then let's click on apply. Okay. So now we can do things down here. If we pass in the user ID of 1, it should display. You can see that a where clause has been added to the query, where user ID equals 1. Awesome. And then if I click on 2, if I select 2, you'll see 2 has been selected, and then I get editor. Because user ID 2 is the owner of the editor listing, whereas user 1, which is admin, is owner of awesome listings. Great. Okay, so far so good. But the problem is, if I go here, I can access editor, I can access 2, and also I can access 1. Now I am logged in as an admin. So let's open up another browser and let's log in as, what's the URL here? So if I was a malicious user and I thought, hey, why don't I just increment through the user IDs? No, that's not it. Damn it, keyboard. Okay, I can access mine. That's great. But what if I select user 1 because I know this is a Drupal site and that's how I'm a elite hacker. Okay, you can see now that, let me increase the, all right, you can see now this user has access to this page. Now, of course, it's not showing, right now it is showing public content, but you don't want other users to have access to this page. So now let's lock things down. So let's go back into our main browser, and under the contextual filters, authored by, let's go back here, scroll down to when the filter value, blah, 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 this long thing, okay? Select specify validation criteria. And this is where things start to get a bit tricky. Okay, so the first one is validator. User ID. And then validate user. User has access. Validate user has access to the user. Then it'll check if the user. So essentially what it's going to do, it's going to come here. It's going to check the user ID. It'll check if the logged in user has either view, edit, or delete access to this user. If it does, it will return true and then allow you access to this page. Now, this is important because you may want like super admins or, I don't know, people who maintain the listings. You may want to have a role that has access to modify user accounts. And that means that they will also have access to this page, which is important if they need to debug things. So then done all that, and then click on apply. So now, if I go here, I get a page not found because I'm logged in as a user. However, if I go to my own page, I get it, which is correct because I've got edit access to the user account, which is my own. Okay. Now there's another thing we need to do. So let's go back in here. It's not a requirement, but it is a nice to have. Action to take if filter does not validate. So you can show a page not found or an access denied. Let's just change it to an access denied, because if I go, where is it? Let's go back here. Let's do that. Yep. Okay. So if I go here, I get a page not found. Maybe you want to keep it at this actually. Let's just leave it at that. Because if it's access denied, then people would know that there's a user account attached to that user ID. Okay. So let's just do that. That is awesome. Now what I want to do is let's add the page to this particular tab. Because it would be great if they just come to my account and it's here, right? Instead of having to remember, oh, what is it? / my listings. Let's do that. So under menu, click on menu tab and then give it a name, my listing. Sorry, my listings. What is it? My listings? What do I do? My listings. And then under parent, select, where is it? User account menu. So that is the parent. Now this took me a while to figure out, but yeah, make sure you select user account menu and then you click on apply and then click on save. And then if we refresh, we should see my listings with our page that we have access to. And operation links, don't worry about that. We'll cover that in a future section where we're going to cover user accounts and things like that. But as you can see, views is very powerful. You just need to know which buttons to press. But I think you can say that for anything. It's very powerful, but it can be a bit annoying, especially if you don't know what to do. But let's now just fix things up a bit more. What I always like to do is let's add in a filter so that you can filter by the name. So because you may have like 20 listings. So let's add a new filter in called for title, and let's expose it. So then it contains. Then if you expose it, it adds it as a little option here, which is pretty cool. And so then if we go here, we can search for our listing, which is awesome. And now what I'll also do is add a little button here on the side. And honestly, the best way to do that is by writing a bit of HTML. So let's go back into my listing under header and go into search for text area and then select full HTML. And all I'm going to do is paste in an A tag, which points to this URL, which is the page for listings. And let's just click on apply. And then if we hit refresh, you'll see create listings, takes you to the listing page. So now we have created a little basic app for searching for listings and also creating listings, which is pretty much what Drupal and views is all about. So that's pretty much an overview of views. Again, if this is the first time you're looking at views, don't be afraid. Even like views even confuses me, and I've been using it for years and years and years. And there's so many new things to learn about, and yeah, you're always going to learn new things. So let me just have a quick look at my notes to make sure we've covered everything. I think we have. Now let's jump to search, because a listing site wouldn't be complete without some type of search. So what we're going to do, let's just go in and create some more content. Where's my Hipsum? And what I'll do is also add in another third listing. Yeah, these are all the same company logo. All right, just to make sure it's got content. Okay, now Drupal out of the box comes with this search page. Does it even work? Why isn't it working? Oh no. Anyway, okay, so Drupal comes with this search page out of the box, and if you go under configuration, search pages, you can create different search Index the site. Nothing's been indexed. Why is that indexing? Oh, run cron. Okay. All right, now everything's indexed. So if I go to the home page and then click on listing, and you'll see listings appear. Okay. So the search is the basic search module is okay. It's a bit more powerful than in Drupal 7. You can create different search pages. So if you go back here, you can create different search pages. Because in Drupal 7, it was very hard to change the URL of the search page, but you can do that just by creating a new search page. But what I really want to focus on is, where is it? Drupal Search API, or as people like to call it, API, Search API. Now, Search API is a pretty powerful module, and it abstracts the backend away from the index. And what I mean by that is you can have Search API on Drupal, but your index can be in Solr, it can be in the database, or it can be in Elasticsearch, or whatever backend is supported. And so the whole point is that you just write your API once, and then Search API handles the backend. So that's something you can do. Okay, so Search API handles the backend, and you handle just configuring Search API. Now the module's powerful, but with great power comes great responsibility, because there's a lot of configuration, and you'll see. Okay, so the first thing we'll do now, we're just going to use this backend, the database backend, as the database as the backend, not Solr or Elasticsearch, because that will require another probably three hour video. And so to get started, what we'll do is go into Composer. Where's Composer? And then search for Search API. Now this took a bit of configuring, so I'll probably be looking at my notes. And there is a lot of configuration, I warn you. It's pretty much broken down into, what is it, 1, 2, 3. No, so you first configure, I'm just trying to figure out the steps. Okay, so you'll first, while Composer's installing, so first configure the index. First define which fields you want on your index, then you configure the index, then you set up the view, because then views integrates with the index, and then you set up your facets if you want facets. You got all that? Don't worry, I'm going to be going. I'll go through this. Unfortunately, I haven't written my long blog posts about Search API for Drupal 8. I do have one for Drupal 7, but I am working on a Drupal 8 version. But I'd highly recommend Search API for your search needs. Okay, so now everything is installed, which is awesome. Let's just give that a second. Come on, come on, Composer, you've been great. Okay. Is there any extra thing that's installed? No, it hasn't. Okay. So let's now go to Extend and search for Search. Make sure you check Search API and also Database Search, which is a submodule of Search API. It's not a separate module. But also check the database search defaults. This actually creates an index out of the box. And I highly recommend that you install this, because even though I'm not aware that you can clone the index and use it, but it's just a good starting point to configure things, because you'll see that there's a lot of configuration with tokenization and stuff like that. So just install it, and it has failed. Why is that? Dun, dun, dun. Our first failure. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay. Let's turn on. I'm going to record this. Let's just turn on error handling. Search API, as they call it. Search default not appearing. Okay. Search builder not appearing. Chances are it's because we're installing everything at the same time. So let's just do this. Well, okay, that's a bit better. and then search index. All right, done. Okay, awesome. All right, that's good to know. So, do not install all of these at the same time. Install Search API first, and then Search API database. Now, database search defaults second. It's kind of like chicken and the egg, I guess. So there you go. And there's a top tip, a web wash top tip. So under configuration, go to search pages, Search API, and you'll see that a database has already been created, which is great. And then we also have this default content index. And if you go under here, you can select which entities you want actually indexed, and then you can define the fields. There are a bunch of fields that are getting indexed here, and then the processes. You can see that there's a lot to configure here, a lot to configure. And just to save time, what we're going to do is, let's just save time. Let's just use this one, because normally what I'd do is I'd create a separate index, but for the sake of this video, let's just reuse this existing one. So the first thing I'll do is under edit, let's go under here and define. So only select, so let's only index listings, and then click on save. So I'm just opening up my notes, which is very important here. And then what we want to do under fields. So here you actually define which fields you want indexed. Because if I open up, let me just, let me go to directory. Let me actually go into the database. I'm just trying to figure out what the port number is. What is it, 35? No, 36. Ah, that's it. Okay, cool. All right, so DDev actually has PHP MyAdmin, which is pretty cool out of the box, but it's on a different port. Let me just go here. So if we go into database, and if you search for Search API, you will see that it creates the index in here. And then for majority, I think for most of the fields that you define, it creates a table for it. And then if we say click on search and then go reindex and then just click on index now, 3 items weren't indexed. Yeah, that's because there's only 3 listings. And then I don't really use PHP MyAdmin. What is it to search? Just refresh. You'll see that now there are items in here, and you can see the values in there. So this is where the index is actually stored, all in here. And then let's just make sure that the field is actually body. Is the body stuff indexed? Anyway, okay. So that's all set up, which is great. Under processes. Now, this is where it gets very, very tricky, and it really depends on what you want returned. Now, building search functionality in a Drupal site, especially for the last couple of years, has been kind of a love-hate relationship with me. Clients just expect way too much from search pages on Drupal. I have gotten requests saying that, oh, I want search pages that work like Google. And then you have to kindly remind the client that, yes, Google knows how to do search, and they have the money, and they have a whole team, and they specialize in search. And, this is a Drupal site. You don't have a budget to build on search. And a lot of the times, search is kind of an afterthought, and it's just added in at the end. So it's important to find out on a Drupal project find out how important search is. Of course, if you ask the client how important is search, they'll say it's very important and it has to work like Google. They'll always say that. But so many times I would come up with these crazy requests, and it's like, yes, we could build it, but you'd pretty much blow the whole budget on the project. And you can see here that there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can actually filter things, and you can tokenize the HTML and set like a boost to it. You can even ignore case. You can put in stop words so that those aren't indexed. You can even tokenize things. You can even set a boost. So if you go in a field, you can actually say with the full text. So if you wanted to index, so let's just say we wanted to, let me see if I've done this. Yeah, I have. Okay. So let's just put in, where is this? So tag is not used. Let me see if categories. So what I'll do is let's add in a field, and let's index. Let's index the category, listing category. So if I add this in, we've added in the listing category, and let's add that to full text, and then add a weight to it of 1. So that anything that comes out of this full text field has a boost of 1. You can see that title takes precedent with a boost of 8. And so you can imagine sometimes a client will say, well, I search for something and the title doesn't return anything. Like I search for something in the title and I want that to appear as number 1. Well, if you're having problems with things not appearing to the top because of the way the relevancy, that's tough word for me, relevancy is determined, well then you can adjust the boost. But you can only do that on full text types. Of course, depends on the backend that you're using as well. So if you're using Solr or Elasticsearch, you can configure a few more things. So let's just do that and click on save. And the last thing we'll do, because I know we'll need it for the facet, is click on add fields. And then where is it? Listings. And what I want to do is actually index the name, so that the name of it is just a string. Okay, awesome. All right, perfect. Every time you make a change to the index, you have to re-index everything. So if you make changes to the fields, so now we've defined our index, and let's just have a quick look here because I'm curious. Because we added in the new field, you'll see that there is, where is it? Where's the search API? I want to see the, I just want to see if listing appears. Why doesn't that appear? It must be added to. Here we go. Okay, the name's appearing here. Okay, so it's appearing over here. Okay, awesome. Got that. Okay, so it is getting indexed, but each field doesn't have its own table. It can sometimes be added to the column as a column. Okay, all right, let's close that off. So now we've created our index. Now we need to display this index somehow. And so you do have, what is it? Search API, sorry, Drupal Search API pages. But is this actually, there is a Drupal 8 module, but the recommended way is to use views. Well, that's my recommended way, is to use views. So what we're going to do, let's go to structure, views, add view, and we'll call this, what is it? Listing index. And this time, select the name of the index. So it should appear here, which is default index, default content index, and then create a page. Leave it all like that, and let's just leave it like that for now. and rendered. Let's just return a teaser. And under filter, you'll see if you search for full text, you get this filter, and you can configure a few things here. So you can select which fields you want to search on, the parse mode. This also this requires a bit of configuration depending on what your client comes back with, how they want the search results to appear. Maybe you want stuff searched for from this filter to only search in particular fields. Again, it really, really depends. That's why search is very subjective. Everyone has their own definition of what search really is. And let's just make this an expose filter so that over here, if you search for, let's see if these keywords appear. Nothing appears there. Okay. Now, if we search for something in the body, nothing is appearing. Why is that? Why is that? Well, let's just save this. The reason for that is perhaps because we're not indexing the body. So let's go back into configuration, search API, edit this, fields, and let's click on add fields, body, and I want the processed, this body processed text, and let's just add full text and give it a weight of 1. Okay, save changes. And again, I have to re-index everything, of course. Index, index, index. Now, if we search for, there's bound to be, because kombucha, I knew there was a kombucha because I'm using that hipsum. Of course. Food, truck, hot, chicken, kombucha. Of course there's kombucha. It's still not appearing. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Why is this not appearing? Maybe the search, anyway. Okay, let's just go to the actual page. So what is that? Listing, index. That's not appearing. See? Search API is fun. Anyway, let's go back here. Full HTML. Oh, okay. I remember. Processes, full HTML, stop words, process stop words, tokenization. Okay, so what we need to do is add, I think, tokenization and make sure you select, actually, let's just go enable on everything that's supported. And then let's hit re-index. Oh, still not working. Still not working. If in doubt, clear your index. Okay. All right, so let's go. Is the title working? Okay, that is working. Awesome. Now, if I search Pinterest, let me just search for Pinterest. That is not working. Why is that not working? That is not returning. Contains all these words, contains one of these words. Oh my God. There we go. God. All right. So when you add a field, there's a few places you need to do. Okay, there's a few things you need to do. Well, so there's a few things you need to do. You have to make sure that it is searched within here. Okay. You also want to make sure that your processes have been set up so that you can either select it on a particular... So technically the rendered item should work. Anyway, it's working. Let's just leave it with that. I'm sure people will watch this video and be like, oh, Ivan, you did it wrong. Anyway, it's working. It's kind of the Drupal way. It's like, don't touch it. It's working. Okay. Oh, cool. So there's another thing if you want to do here. You can actually boost up different content types. So if you want a certain content type to bubble up to the top, you can control the boost. Now, the last thing we're going to do is, well, on this index, is we need to set the sort. This is the most important thing. So relevancy is very important. Sort by ascending. Descending. So every time you search for something, there's a relevancy score, which is calculated based off the boost and things like that, and that needs to. So the higher the relevancy score, the higher it should be ranked and appear at the top. So that's why we've done that, and everything is working. So now if I do this, get this nice little thing. If we search for this and nothing appears, let's now add in a nice little message to say no results returned. So to do that, just go under here, no results behavior. So there's a few options here. You have message up here, text area. I like to just put in text area, and then no results returned. Did I spell return right? Oh, just no results. It's getting late here, and I really want to finish this video. Okay, so no results return. That's awesome. Let's do this again. No results return. Great. Okay, awesome. Now let's just get rid of this block because it's no longer needed. And if we search for, what is it, third, and see if that appears. Okay, cool. So it's working. Awesome. Okay, so that is this page. Now what I want to do, let's actually get rid of this one as well, because I want a facet to appear on the side. Okay, now let's focus. Let's get a facet working. Let's get fascinated. Okay, yeah, all right. Enough with the jokes. It's getting a bit late here, but I really want to get this done. Okay, let's now put in a facet. Now, facets. So Drupal facets. Let me just show you. Facets are these little things on the side that you add into your search results. Okay, these little facets here. And what I want to do, this is facet module. It seems like every single version of Drupal, they change it. So in Drupal 7, it used to be called Facet API. In Drupal 6, was there a Drupal 6 version? No, in Drupal 6 it was something else. Search Lucene API. No, that's right, it was this. Because I've written about this. Faceted, is it faceted search? Oh no, that's the Drupal 8 version. But every single version of Drupal, they change it, which is very annoying. Anyway, so in Drupal 7, it was Facet API. In Drupal, it's just Drupal 8. It is facades, if you want to be posh. Facets. Okay, now we need to install this, of course. So let's just type this in. Drupal / facets. Why isn't this cached? Should be. Oh, it's much faster. So now we're going to put in the facets, and we're going to keep this very simple. Again, the API, the settings for facets is crazy. There's a lot of options, but we're just going to keep it simple. And you could do some crazy stuff such as location-based facets. Is that put in a slider? Well, I know you could do that in Drupal 7. I'm not sure what the state of the modules are for Drupal 8. And so we're just going to keep it very, very, very simple. Alrighty, so we've got our facet in there. Let's close this up. Well, we'll leave this stuff open for now. And let's open up another tab. Go to extend. Go to facets. Oh, they do have the range widget here. Awesome. And also you can expose your facets using REST, which is pretty cool. So let's just put in facets and go on the configuration, and then you go to, is it here? Oh, no. It's changed. It was in there in Drupal 7 under facets. Awesome. So when you configure your facets, you need to, I'm going to say facets too many times, so I apologize. When you configure your facets, you first need to create your index, because your facet needs to be aware of the index to pull out that type of information. And let me just bring up my notes. No, which one is it? All right, give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure out how I actually did this. Ivan, you should really practice this beforehand. Categories, listing, taxonomy, term, name. Okay, got it. So what we want to do is click on add a facet, select our source, which is listing, and then select the name. Okay, select the listing. What is it? Listing categories, taxonomy name, and then the name, and then click on save. And then you can do things such as you can show the amount, the rows, which is awesome. And then you can do things such as put in an operator or hide things if there's no facets, if nothing gets rendered. You can do a lot of stuff here. Hide inactive facets, count limits. There's a whole ton of stuff, and then you can sort it. There's a lot of configuration here. So by active, descending. Okay, so let's just click on save. And now what this does is this has added in a block. So what I want to do is let's actually get rid of these blocks. Let's disable them. And promo. And let's go to top. No, that's not it. Where is it? Primary. And then search for facets, add that in. Categories, and let's just make it appear on, what is it? Listing index. I think it will only appear if there's index present on the page. So if we refresh, all right, marketing is the only one that appears. If this appears, you can filter by the 2. So you can see only 2 appear, filter by 1, and then 1 appears. This is a very basic how-to on how to do it. The most important thing is that you need to index this. So if you want a facet to appear, you need to make sure that the data you want in the facet is actually being indexed. So that's the first thing, and that's why I added this in. So you want to first make sure that you are indexing this, and then you want to configure things. So let's do one thing. Notice how categories, when categories is selected, motoring is selected, it should be at the top. I think that's a common thing. Let's click on configure facets. I'm going to try and do this. Let's see. Sorting. Count. Here we go. Active state. Display value. I did this before. Active state should be up the top. By display value, count, descending. So they should display. There's probably one thing I'm missing here for it to display at the top. Anyway, I'm not going to do that now. Anyway, I can't spend time on it. Okay. So there you go. That is a nice little basic search page. So then if I was to search for, I don't know, photo. There should be only 2 of them that appear. I know all of them have photo in there. Oh God. Food. All of them have food in there. If I was to search for editor, you only see 1 appear, and then editor appears. Now, another thing a client may ask, and this has happened to me before, is that they want the facets to appear first, but not the index. Now, the facets are powered off the index. So this facet is generated based off what's returning in the index. So you really can't have the facets appear before the index unless you write a whole, build a separate other system. That was one request I recently had, where essentially they wanted the facets more as kind of like a drill down. So you start off by seeing all the categories and then you drill down and all that. So you probably could do it. How could you do it? You could probably create another index to just index everything and then use views. There's probably ways, but that's just a bit of a heads up that the facet depends on the index. Okay? All right, so that is pretty much Search API. As you can see, there is a lot involved. And yeah. It gets more fun when you're dealing with Search API, when it's Solr or Elasticsearch. So yeah, have fun with it and enjoy it. Okay, now let's move on. So we've created our search page, we've created our content types, we've created our theme. Now it's time to add a bit of media handling. Okay, now this is going to be fun because media handling, there's a lot of clicking, and now there's going to be a lot of modules installed. Now, before we can jump into things, let's go download a whole bunch of modules. So I've got my, where is my list of modules that I need to install? I've got it here somewhere. Okay. So I'll pop this open in here. Oh, there's a lot here. So, Entity Embed, CTools, Entity Browser. We don't need Video Embed field. Let's get rid of that. And then Inline Entity Form. That's probably the best ones for now. I do have a video, and I've talked about media management in the past a lot. So if you want to get into more detail about that, do that. And I'll add links to the show notes. Let me just quickly search for that. Okay, managing media assets. Yeah, here we go. I've talked a lot about it, so I'm not going to go into full crazy detail about absolutely everything, but let's just get this party started. So, is that it? I'm thinking there's more. Search API. No. That's okay. Okay, cool. All right. Let's just install all of these in, and let's see how fast this downloads. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a media library we're going to be using the file, image, remote video. We're going to use entity embed to embed assets, and then we're going to be using inline entity form, which is another great module for just making things a lot easier. Okay, so luckily we've already gone ahead and installed the media module. We did that early. And you can go here and then, media types, and manage it from here. And we actually have our 3 major media types, file, image, and remote video. Remote video is a new one in 8.6, and also it has support for OEmbed, which is new in 8.6 as well. That's why when I saw video embed field, it's not necessarily required, but I'll just bring it up. Video embed field is still an awesome module. Video, not view embed field, video embed field, sorry about that. And so video embed field has support for all of these players, whereas the OEmbed support only has support for YouTube and Vimeo. So if you need any of these other providers, then you may have to use video embed field. So let's just go in there and let's just put in a video. I'm just going to quickly search for a YouTube video, probably one of mine, of course. Webwash Media. A introduction to media management. Let's do that one, just so I don't have to look at my face the whole time. But no, there we go. Remote video, and let's just click on save. So you can see that Embed grabbed the YouTube thumbnail, and also it's got this nice little player in there, which is pretty cool. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go to extend and let's enable the embed, because let's say we want to have the ability to embed assets into the editor. Now I'm only going to set this up on the blog content type, not the listing content type, because if you want to allow normal users who are creating listing items to only have access to their own images, it starts to get real complicated with access control. And I just don't want to go through that in this video. So we're just going to stick to the blog content type. So if you go under configuration and then click on editor, what is it? Text editor, embedded buttons, and then click on add button. Let's call this media library, and then select entity, and then select media, and then we'll select video and remote video, and then just click on save. Now let's go under text format, because we've created our button. Now we need to add it to the actual editor. So we do that by clicking on basic HTML, and then you will see these two E's. The first one is the default, which is node. Then you have media library, and let's just add that there. And there's a few things we need to do here, okay? The first thing is you want to make sure, see this item here? Based on the text editor configuration, these tags are automatically added. So the way entity embed works is that when you embed an asset, Drupal uses this Drupal-entity element and places it into the markup. And then a filter, which we enable here, where is it? Display embedded entities, then reads that and then renders that markup, replaces the markup and renders an actual entity. And the other thing we need to do is also uncheck restrict images. So let's just click on save. And then if we test everything out, everything should just work. Should. So we come here, let's put in, let's add in more dummy text. Oh, that looks terrible. Where's my Lauren Ipsum, sorry, Hipsum. Okay, cool. And then if we click on the E, we get this nice little editor, nice little autocomplete. Let me just search for company logo. And then I can select a view mode or select how it's displayed. Let's select thumbnail. You can resize it. And let's center it. Centering doesn't work. And let's put in caption. Why doesn't it work? Oh, it does work. Okay, that's weird. And then centering does not work. Why is that? Align center. Oh, we probably need to add these to our align center is not working. There's probably some markup issues. Anyway, I'm sure I did something to fix this up. And then if you, let's say align right. Oh, that's working. Okay, so that's working. Align right's working, which is great. And you can see that it's really easy to just embed things, which is great. You can even click, you can even click and add things. So you can move it there. You can double click on it. You can add it in, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. And then if you want, where's a YouTube video? Wait, what do I do? Manage media. You can even embed a YouTube video. But let's just select full content and then click on embed. And it's just going to embed the player in, which is pretty cool. And then you can play it, which is awesome. Okay, now if we go back, oh, and you can also add things here as well. Okay, which I've also mentioned. But there is a big issue with this. Let's just remove this. Don't want this anymore. When you click on this, yeah, this whole autocomplete thing nonsense is annoying because you can't upload an image from here. So what we're going to do is let's use entity browser to create a browser interface where when you click on this, you can browse existing assets. You can then upload assets as well. So for that, let's install entity browser and install inline entity browser inline entity form. This is very important. And then just click on continue and make sure you install CTools as well because you need that. You need that for the wizard API stuff. So go under configuration, entity browser, and then click on entity browser. And we'll call this media library. Let's be original. Select modal iframe because it's supported. That's the only one that doesn't conflict with embed. Just check auto open entity browser. Just one less click. Click on next, next, next. Okay. Now we select our actual widgets. So if we click on view and click on finish, we need to now create a view. So this is where Drupal, like views is powerful. Views is used everywhere, but if you don't know views, you're really screwed when it comes to Drupal because people just, module maintainers just assume you know views. So what we need to do is now create a view that will then be used to display the assets. So let's go under structure, views, and click on, and let's call this media library. It doesn't really matter if it's called the same thing. And then click on media. No, let's just leave that for now. Click on save and edit. Under filter type, let's search for, what is it? Media type, is that it? File, image, remote video. So now we're only displaying those images, those media types. We don't have a file. It's just company, logo, and site building. And I can hear sirens, so I'm sorry if that's coming through. No, it's finished. Okay. Now what we want to do is configure the table so that we get a nice little table layout. Logo. Oh, no, what is it? Oh, thumbnail. Yes, that's it. So select thumbnail. Let's resize it so it's thumbnail. Just so that it's a nice looking page. Somewhat nice looking page. And the other thing, there's two mandatory things we need to do. First, we need to add this form. It's called entity browser bulk select form. We need to add that because that checkbox is used. Where is that checkbox? Okay. The checkbox will appear when we select, and this is the other second thing you need to do, is you need to use the entity browser display. And now you can see the checkbox. So there's two important things. First, select entity browser as the display, and then you have to add in this bulk select item. And then this being a view, you can add in all extra stuff like the filter, sort criteria, whatever you want. But for us, we're not caring about that for now. So now if I refresh this page, I'll see this in the drop down. Now, if you don't see your view in this drop down, make sure, again, you select entity browser and then click on finish. All right. So now let's go into configuration, embed buttons, and then click on, media browser, our button, and then select media library from entity browser. So entity browser and entity embed are tightly coupled. And then just click on save. So now, if we go to our test blog post, and then click on edit, and then click on the E, you'll get this nice little company logo. And then you can simply embed your assets. Let's just remove that. Now let's go back here and let's do one more thing. Let's add in a tab to add an image. Okay? Because you still need to have the ability to add images, right? So to do that, you want to go, let me just fix up the mic here. So to do that, you want to go to configuration, embed, media, sorry. What? Wrong button. Entity browser, edit, widgets, and then select, which one is it? Entity form, that's it. Upload image, and then select media, image, and then click on finish. And let's just go in here again. And notice how you can only select one bundle. The annoying thing is that you can't have the one tab manage different media types. So let's also create another one for, well, let me just check one thing. Just give me 1 second. Manage form display remote video. No, not that one. Okay, cool. Image. Okay, let's just put another one, and this one's going to be embed YouTube. No. Let's call it remote video. Remote video. Again, media. Remote video. And let's leave the form mode to default. We'll change that in a second. I'll show you why you want to, why it's important to keep track of that. So now if we click on here, go upload, you can see all of the forms. And this is actually inline entity form, which is great. You can just fill out the form the same way as you would through the media page. But notice how there's a lot of fields here. What if we want to control what fields appear here? Now there's two ways of doing that, okay? You can control which widgets appear just by going to, say, image, manage form, and then removing them from here. But the problem is, if you remove it from this default form mode, then it'll remove it from this area. Now, you may not want certain fields to appear in the entity browser, but you want all the fields to appear on this edit page. And if you modify the default form mode, you can't pick and choose. You either disable a widget from everywhere or you don't. Now, a workaround for that is to use a form mode. Wait, where is it? Go under manage display. Now form modes are similar to view modes. It just allows you to contextually group widgets together based off a particular context. So what I'm going to do is let's create, when did I go? I always keep forgetting that. Wait, go under that. Yep, media. And let's call this library. And then if we go under structure, media types, let's just do this for image and scroll down and then click on library. And let's say we want also make sure you are in library, okay? And then remove published, remove all of these except name and image. Because now, another thing we need to do is let's go back into our entity browser and then click on form mode, which is then library. And now if we go here and click on upload, you still get revision for some reason. I can't figure out. You can probably remove it with a bit of custom code, but you only get name and image, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay. Now, other thing I want to show you with media is that you can use entity browser on fields. So what if you want to replace this and use this exact same browser that we've set up for this embed? just so that you have the same UI for your editors, so that when they upload something, an image, it is actually uploading it to an actual library. Well, that's very, very easy just by changing the widget. So let's go to our blog content type, featured image, and then here, select inline entity form. No, actually, entity browser, sorry. And then under here, select your inline, what is it? Entity browser. Yep. So media library is our browser. And then you can, I think you can render things. Can you render things as? Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. So this is pretty cool. So let's just do this. So you can edit things directly from here. You can remove it. And then you can define which view mode will be used when it embeds the media. So let's just do that. All right, you can select it. And then it displays the media. If you want this to be a smaller version or you want this to be displayed differently, then just create another view mode and then configure the view mode, which will be displayed. Okay, so I think that is media. I mean, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it, but as you can see, it's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. Okay, now let's just having a quick look at the notes. We're nearly coming to an end. Okay, now let's talk about user roles. Because notice how we've been doing everything with admin, which isn't the smartest thing to do. So now what I want to do is configure this editor. So the first thing we're going to do is, because yeah, you come here and you get access denied, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is go under people, create a role, and let's call this contributor. I always spell that wrong. Contributor, okay. And what I'm going to do is open up this. Now managing permissions in Drupal is a bit of an art. It takes a bit of time. You're not going to get it right the first time, and it just takes a bit of time to play around with things. And you do have to often have 3 or 4. I often work with like minimum two browsers where I'm logged in as admin and I'm logged in as a user that I'm testing and I just have to make sure that they have access to the right sections. So luckily I do know what permissions they need access to. So the first thing is listing. So create new content. That's correct. Delete own content, which is important. And then listing, edit own content. And then if we scroll further down, view own unpublished content. So they can view their own unpublished content. And then for them to upload an image, create new image. Delete, do not say select delete any. Create new image, delete own media, and then edit. Where is it? Edit own. Alrighty. Cool. So now what we need to do is let's go here. Still getting access denied. Why is that? Do I need to flush something? Or sorry, rebuild as it's called in Drupal 8? Perhaps. That's still not working. Okay. Oh. Let's go back to people. And let's give it the role. So under editor, you can select contributor. And then click on save. And now we can fill out our awesome content. All right, now let's fix this up as well. So we can upload things. Okay, let's now clean this up. So this logo needs to be, just close all these. And the content, listing, manage form display. Let's select this. Simple, okay. So if I go back here, I can upload everything, which is great. Now, I'm not going to select, I won't be, oh yeah, no, actually we can fix it up. Now I've selected inline entity form for this because I don't want users, listing users to have access to to the library of content. So they will only be able to upload one image to each individual listing. And best of all, we can reuse this library for mode. So let's just do that. Click on save. And this makes it a lot nicer. Company logo 2. Let's add in another company logo. Well, which one did I add in first? Let's give it a nice beige color, whatever the color that is. All right, what is it? Test editor listing. My test editor listing. Select marketing, email at email.com, and then click on save. Okay. Oh, come on, let's put in some Hipsum. Okay, we'll put in a bit of Hipsum, make it hup. And we need to fix this up because we also don't want access. We don't want to give them access to all of this, and we'll fix that up in a second. Okay. Which is pretty cool. Under my listing. And now we can edit as well, which is great. And now let's put in the ability to control the published state of a listing. Because as you can see, you can't change the published state. Well, to do that, we need to use a module called what's it called? Drupal. No, it wasn't. Node override options. This one. So this allows you to override node options. Let's just grab this. And this is a pretty simple module. It's a very useful module as well, so highly recommend it. Because Drupal's permission isn't granular enough to say, okay, I want this user to have access to the permission checkbox. Because I think to give them access to the permission checkbox, you need to give them administer nodes, which is stupid. So that's why you want to use this module. So once that's installed, just having a quick look at things. All right, cool. Once that's installed, let's go to, let's close this off. Go to extend, click on override node permissions, and then under people, go to roles, contributor, and there should be override. You get all these options here to override other things. So you can even override the authored by, all things like that. Oh, there it is. Override listing published. There we go. Now if I refresh, I should see a checkbox here. And now for some reason, yeah, the revision thing disappears, but that's because the module takes over. So you can now access it, which is pretty cool. But as you can see, we need to modify. So now I've unpublished it. But we need to update our view here because if we go to my content, and then edit the view, we have a filter which is published. So let's just remove this. And we can see we can see now our published content. And if we click on edit, we can view the unpublished. That's why it's important to give the view own published content. If that's not given, if that permission isn't available to the user, then they'll get an access denied here. And then if we edit, you can see published is unchecked. Let's just make our contributors' life much easier by adding in the published state so they can see it. Published. Make sure you select content category, and then let's give it a tick. A tick. Yeah, put it there. And then you can see the ticks here, which is great. And then if we go to my account, you can see everything you can see the published state here. Okay, now let's look at the registration page, because that requires a bit of configuration. So the first thing I want to do, let's stop and think how the registration will actually work. The way it's going to work is that you would want somebody to register, to then approve, validate their email, and then automatically get a role assigned to them. And there's a few modules. There's a few ways of doing that, okay? One module which I recommend is Drupal multiple registration module. This allows you to create multiple registration forms, and it is similar. Where is it? Now there is another module called like Field Form Mode Manager. But the thing with Form Mode Manager, and this was actually written on, there is a tutorial about this on WebWash. The Form Mode Manager allows you to control the form mode, and then you can also create pages for that particular form mode. But I couldn't figure out if it actually assigns the user the correct role. Because if you were to use Form Mode Manager, then you'll have to go in there and assign the role to the user. You don't want to do that. You just want somebody to go in there, assign things, like receive the email, and then be happy with it, okay? So what we're going to do is let's use this for now. And I'll install it. And what I'll also do is I'll bring up ddev. Let me bring up the to actually track emails. Okay, cool. Allow. So ddev uses MailHog to intercept emails, and he actually adds the emails here. So you can see the emails that are getting sent, and it's all captured in here, which is very good for testing. So let's make sure. Okay, so this is installed. So let's go back. Let's just clean this up a bit. Oh, let me just, did I add this to the notes? Ivan. No, I didn't. Naughty. All right, give me one sec. All right, cool. I'm actually surprised how many modules we're using. We're not using that many. That's because Drupal 8 has a lot of modules. Okay, so let's go to extend multi-registration. And under configuration, let's go to accounts, and let's select anyone can create an account, but they need to require address. Yep, need to validate their address, which is cool. And so now if I log out of here and I go to login, I can create an account. Okay. But what I want to do is let's go to people, roles, and then under the drop down, you'll see create own registration page. And then you can use a particular form mode if you want. And let's just call this /register. Okay, well, shouldn't have a slash up the front. And then you can also disable the main registration page. So let's go ahead and do that. So that now /register doesn't exist, but then we'll get a new tab called create new contributor account. The annoying thing is that I can't figure out if there's an easy way to change the name of this through the module. Anyway, that's I'm sure somebody will ask, can I change this? And of course, if you want to remove these, well, then you just remove them from the form mode, because users are entities, and so there is a form mode. So let me just create an account and then test, let's call it test, and then click on create an account. Test is already taken, of course it is. Just click on that again. Email address, test, cool. All right, a message has been sent for further instructions. Let's go into mail hog. You'll see it here. And then I get this nice long URL. Copy. I can log in and I can set the password and saved. Then to here. Oh, I don't see that. Why is that? Remember, there was a button there. Why don't I see it? Well, let's go, before we jump, let's go have a look and see, okay, yep, contributor is there. That is awesome. Now, this is one thing I love about Drupal, okay? The user system, user management is pretty awesome. Out of the box, there are other CMSs out there, WordPress, that don't, as far as I'm aware, don't have this type of stuff out of the box. Of course, if you want, you can get WP profile or something, but I do love the fact that this is just awesome out of the box, that you get users and they have to validate their email addresses and it just works, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I'm sure there's paid plugins that do things 10 times better, but it's just good that Drupal does this out of the box. Okay, so something's broken, let's fix it. So why isn't this button appearing here? Well, what I think is happening is we need to just configure one thing. So let's go to listings, header, display even if view has no results. But even better, I've got access to that, awesome. Let's just fix this up and put in a nice little note to say no results. Because you know the QA team will bounce the ticket back and say, oh, can you put in a message saying no results? Okay, no results. All right, done that, no results. Brilliant. Come here, test. Blah, blah, blah. Logo. Let's put in another, oh, come on. Oh no, what did I do? Wait. I don't know what that noise was. And then just put all this in. This should work. Awesome. And best of all, come to my listing. That doesn't work. If I go to user 2, page not found. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is let's change the text editor. Because this basic text editor is a bit too much. I believe it has too much features. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the configuration on my practice site, text format, and we'll call it contributor. Okay. So what we're going to do is let's create a new editor, essentially. So click on add new text editor, and I'll call this contributor HTML. admin and contrib can have access to it. CK editor is the editor. And what I'll do is let's just enable a few things. So limit allowed HTML, convert, where is it? Convert breaks into HTML, which is important, and correct faulty and chopped off HTML. Awesome. And now what's going to happen? If you do make changes, so this is a bit of a heads up, if you do make changes to the editor, oh no, what we need to also do is make sure this isn't allowed by authenticated user. If you do make changes to an editor and they no longer have access to it, it'll look like this, okay? This field has been disabled because you don't have access to it. So what essentially you need to do is come here and then change it to contributor HTML. And they can still do everything that they wanted. And now they have access to it. So if you are going to make a drastic change to the text format, you will have to migrate a bit of content. And at the end of the day, it is just one column in a table that you need to change. But yeah, just make sure you back up your database before you make that type of migration changes. Okay, so we've looked at creating roles, creating users, the node option or option node override, created a contributor, text format. Now let's look at paragraphs. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So what is paragraphs? So paragraphs allows you to break out your content into components. So you can have all these different components like quote, image, slideshow, whatever you want. Instead of putting everything into one body field, you have it as separate components. So paragraphs allows you to do that. So essentially it is a fieldable entity. And in the last few years, pretty much every site I've worked on uses paragraphs, but things will change once Layout Builder becomes stable or is better supported. So Layout Builder is an experimental module in Drupal that can essentially replace paragraphs. But for now, if you're building a site right now in 8.5, 8.6. Which one's? I think 8.6, sorry. I think 8.6 is the latest one. Then use paragraphs is probably the best for now, just to build this type of stuff, unless you want to spend time fiddling with Layout Builder. So what I'm going to do is let's create a Jumbotron paragraph. But before we do that, let's create a new content type called landing page. So let's go under structure, content types, and what I'll do is call this landing page. I'll just leave things as it is. And we also need to then download, paragraphs. Let's now just quickly download paragraphs. And it's also going to download entity reference revisions. But Composer handles all the dependencies. Oh, that's another great thing that Composer does, is that it actually handles dependencies. As long as dependencies are defined properly in your YAML file, you can see here. There you go. That's another cool thing Composer does. All right, so let's go into here and let's go to extend and then type in paragraphs. So what I want to do is I want to implement this Jumbotron. So you know the one component that screams Bootstrap essentially. but I'm going to be using, what is it? This Bootstrap 3 components. What is this Jumbotron? Yep, this lovely thing. So let's set this up. Okay, so what we're going to do is create a, go into structure. We've created our content type, and I will create a paragraph called, no, that's not it. Where is it? Paragraph called components. Make sure you select unlimited because you want to allow unlimited paragraphs. And we need to create a paragraph type first. So under structure, let's go to paragraph types and then call this, what is it, Jumbotron? Let me get the proper spelling of it because I always spell it wrong. It is a weird name. And so let's take a stand back, okay? Just imagine you're working with a front-end team, and they are building things using style guide-driven development. So they're using something like KSS Node, where they are developing all the little components, and you then need to now convert this into Drupal. So they want the ability to handle this in Drupal. So take a minute and think, how would you implement this in Drupal? How many fields would you have? What would you call the paragraph? Now, naming paragraphs, just like naming anything, just naming things is annoying. Naming paragraphs is difficult as well because you want it to be generic, but you also want it to be specific. So I'm just going to call this Jumbotron because it's a very specific component. But instead of putting this into the text editor, let's create a separate field for this. Because paragraphs, you still want to make sure editors have some type of structured data. You don't want to just give them a text editor because if they have access to a text editor, they'll break things. And so I'm thinking we'll create a title field and then a body field for this. Makes sense, right? So let's do that. So let's go into here and I'll put in a text plain. We'll call this title. And let's make it required. And then let's put in long text. Text formatted long. And we'll call this content. And let's just make it mandatory. Okay. So let's go back to we need to go back into our landing page and then make sure you select Jumbotron. Okay, so we're getting there. Let's create a test landing page. So let's go here, test landing page, and then we have title. Actually, let's copy this. And I want to copy the exact markup. So that'll be the paragraph. And then click on save. Okay. No, it's not taken. Okay, we'll cover that in a second. So you can see that it still needs a bit of work. Now comes the fun part, actually rendering this properly. So let's go to manage display. On the paragraph type. Let's just close this stuff. Won't need this for now. Oh, before I forget. Oh, what was it? I'll just grab this. Okay. So let's go back into manage display. And what we're going to do is, let's clean this up. so there's no title. And let's give it one column. But make sure you select display suite, one column layout. And then we select that. Because if you look at the markup that's generated, it's pretty simple. We just need to add a Jumbotron class to the outer div. That's it. So if I go to the home page and have a look at this. This is the paragraph. If we add in, so let's just add in a Jumbotron here. Yeah, it's kind of looking like it. Kind of. Yeah, it's kind of looking it. Well, you can just barely see it on the screen. Hopefully you can see that there is a tinge color. Okay, so one of the good things about Bootstrap is that you can add in arbitrary classes. So if you click on custom classes, let's add in, what are we doing? Adding it to a region. Yeah, adding it to a region. So we'll call this Jumbotron and then just add in this class. And then if you go to this wrapper and then go, oh no, under here, yep. Class, so class for layout, and then you just select Jumbotron. And then if we hit refresh, we get this class. Awesome. Now let's make this an H1, because remember, this is just the field. So you can see that it's not an H1 just yet. Again, display suite to the rescue. But what we need to do is we need to turn on one feature in display suite. So go to display suite, extras, and then settings, and then enable fields, field templates. And then if we hit refresh, you'll get these options. So if you click on the widget, choose a field template, select, I think, expert. Yeah, that's it. And then just change your element to H1. So this will then change the element to an H1. Oh, very good, very good, very good. Simply changes it to an H1. So this expert template is pretty powerful. I actually really, really like it. There's a lot of options here, and some people might hate it, but I really like it. Don't have to write any custom code. Because remember, we haven't written any custom code yet, which is awesome. Okay. Now, what we want to do is, well, there's something broken here. Can you pick up what's broken? It's this. This should be an actual button. But if we look at the markup, there's all of this like BT, BT Premium, BT Primary, BT Large. But it's not here. Why is that? If I go in and edit. Wait, no, not that one. Oh yeah. What am I doing? If I go in there and edit what's here, click on source, it's not there. All right. Stupid me. I just forgot to put it. So let me just put it back in. And click on save. But it's not working. If I go back in there, it's not there again. Don't worry, you're not going crazy. It is getting stripped out. That's essentially what's happening. So we need to configure our text format. So go into text formats. Which one was it? Basic HTML. And then scroll all the way down. And under allowed HTML tags, you need to specify the actual attribute as well. Attributes need to be allowed. So just add in class. So now if we go back here, class, you're done. It's working. If we inspect it, it is getting passed through, which is awesome. So this is just a very basic example of paragraphs. On most Drupal sites, you'll probably have, 5 to 10 paragraphs. I've worked on websites that have like 15 paragraphs, 20 paragraphs, and they literally build out their whole site. So I don't want to spend too much time on just randomly creating paragraphs, but that is one way of using it. And I hope you can see the benefit of using Display Suite, because we pretty much modified the whole rendering of the template using Display Suite. Now, I will mention this ability here, so custom classes, custom wrappers, only exist if you select a layout from Display Suite. If we were to select one of these, let's just do this, you'll see you get no options. And the reason for that, if we want to look at some code, some actual code, and now we're going to look at some actual code, is because if we go to, what is it, Display Suite, layouts, where is it? Layouts. No, that's not it. It's somewhere here. Layouts, category, layouts. Partial. Oh yeah, here we go. Class. Yeah, class uses this Display Suite layouts, and so this actually implements it. So when you implement your layout, you don't have to define a class. By default, it will just use a standard class. But if you are implementing your own classes, make sure you add this class here. Okay, that's very, very important. Or you'll be scratching your head why those options aren't appearing. So just a heads up. Okay, so that is pretty much paragraphs. Again, paragraphs, great to use. I think things will change once Layout Builder becomes stable. And in the future, I think Layout Builder will be the better solution, purely because of just because of the way Paragraph stores content. It creates an entity. There's a lot of data that is stored, and also it gets a bit slow over time. When you have like 20, 30, 40 paragraphs on a page, the form can be very sluggish and very slow. So just be aware of that. So just a heads up, but it is a great module. Okay, let's now finally look at Webform. Okay, we're finally coming to the end of this epic long journey. I think at this point it's just under 3 hours, and it is past midnight here, and I really want to get this finished. So, Webform. So the final bit of functionality that we want to build, okay, and we're coming back to building functionality, is, wouldn't it be great if somebody can come to a listing? So just imagine, well, no, actually, let's just create a private window. Let's go to listing index. Okay, so just imagine a non-logged in an anonymous user, and I want to contact this person. Yes, I have the email there, but wouldn't it be good if I could fill out a form, and the email that the form generates goes to the owner of this listing? Okay, and the owner can be anyone. And the email, so we need to figure out, so when we send a submission, so when a web form, we're going to be using Webform for it. You can write custom code to handle it, but we're going to be using Webform for it. And I hope this will demonstrate just how powerful Webform is, because you can use it for application development, essentially. And it's more than just creating forms. You can actually use it to create these little awesome pieces of functionality that would normally require custom code. Now, I've talked about Webform a lot on WebWash, and I'd highly recommend it as a for your editors. So if we search for Drupal Webform, there you go. It's one of my videos right there. So let's just go in there. And I think, yeah, just a week ago it moved. It was fine. Well, this morning, yesterday it was 5.0, and now it's 5.1, already a maintenance release. And it is stable, which is awesome, absolutely awesome, because the maintainer had about, 20 odd RCs, which is great, and he's doing, and honestly, the maintainers of Webform are absolutely amazing. And just a shout out to these two guys. Yeah, they're doing an amazing job. I've never seen somebody just passionately maintain a module. And also, if you need help with Webform, head over to the Drupal Slack channel. Drupal Slack, I'm not going to jump into it, but yeah, there is a Webform. I'll add a link. There is a, where's my notes? There is a Webform Slack channel, and the maintainers are in there all the time helping people out. So if you have any problems, just go in there and ask for help. They'll be more than happy to help. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is install it. So again, Composer, go ahead and do your thing and install. Let me now save that. If you have watched the whole thing from beginning to end, I do apologize for any inconvenience caused. And yeah, if somebody has watched it from beginning to end, the whole thing, just add a comment below. Let me just have a sip of water and then we'll jump right in. Okay, let's jump right in and take this over the finish line. Well, our website's never really done. Let's be honest. A website is done once the budget for the amount of sprints has pretty much ended, and you're always building a website. Okay, so let's go to Extend, and if you search for Webform, you'll see a lot of modules here. A lot. The only ones I want to focus on are Webform UI and Webform. So let's just focus on those. So let's just close all this. And then if you go under reports, you will get a bunch of warnings talking about external libraries are being put in. So Webform utilizes a lot of external libraries for the CK editor, for, all the different elements. But we're not going to be using those. So it's perfectly fine. And you can also disable the CDN warning, but you can download all of the dependencies or the third-party libraries yourself. But also, you want to also set up, we're not going to be setting this up, but you may want to also set up spam protection with everything. So just be aware that there is a bit of configuration, and also make sure you set up your private file system if you are allowing users to upload and you don't want that data to be available. And you want it to be, you want like PDFs to be stored in the actual private file system. So to create your web form, just go to Structure, Web Forms. Let's close all this, and out of the box you get this one contact page. Okay, it's pretty basic. You can use it. It's great. But what I want to do, let's create a new one called Listing Contact. And we're going to add in, let me see how many elements I've got. I forgot how many elements I've got. Okay, so we're going to just create 3 elements. Now, in web form, an element is a field, so just replace element with field, but it's the same concept. If you click on Add Element, you can see all of the elements. There are a lot, and there are a ton of them. If you click on Show Preview, you can see a preview of all of them. Seriously, there's a lot. There's heaps. Yeah. You can kind of get lost. And there's all these little cool table select sort things. There's like one of the cool ones that I love is the other. Yeah. So it's one of these things where if you select other, so you have a select box, and then if you don't like one of the options, you select other, and then an extra little thing appears, and then you can enter in. Like, that stuff's awesome. I love that. Yeah, that stuff's freaking awesome. So all these little intricate details are freaking awesome. But let's just stick to the basic stuff. You want to hide the preview because it can slow things down. But let's just start off with basic elements. We'll call this full name. And then click on add and save. A new one. Next one will be email. And again, let's make this, I should call it email and make it required. And last but not least, what is it? Text area. Message. And make it required. Okay. So if you want to test out your form, you can click on view, or you can click on test, and that just pre-populates everything, and you can click on submit and you're done. Okay, pretty simple. Now the tricky part comes. Okay, so now what we want to do is, there's a few things we need to do. So let's now add it to the region. Okay, so we want to add it next to, so let's say, where's my, okay, let's go in here. Let's say we want to add it over here, okay, in this region. Actually, let's get rid of this one. Let's go to, oh no, that's not it. What is it? Listing, index. My awesome listing, okay. You want to go to structure, block layout, and go to secondary. Search for forms. No, what is it? Web form. Search for a web form block. And then let's just search for our form, contact listing. And with the visibility, you want it to appear on listings. Oh, sorry, listings. And just click on save blocks. So if we scroll down, we get this nice little form here. So if we fill it out, click on save, notice how it redirects us to this, and then when you click on here, it takes you back and all that. Let's fix this up so it does everything in Ajax. Remember Ajax? Yes, I remember when that was the latest thing, Ajax. Okay, so let's go back to web forms, build, settings, use Ajax, which is cool. The next thing is confirmation. So your confirmation, let's make the confirmation inline. And let's put a message, thanks for contacting us. And then just click on save. So again, let's test this out. Don't. And then message. It's a nice little Ajax thing. But let's get rid of this back to form because it's no longer required. Luckily, we can easily uncheck that. So again, we'll just hit that and we get this nice thanks for contacting us. Now to view the submissions, you can go to structure, web forms, and you can see the results here. So you can either go into it and then click on results. And then from here, you can see all of the submissions. You can see all the fields, and all this stuff can be customized. If you want to turn off certain fields, if you don't want to say IP address and, I don't know, operation. Oh, no, you want operations. Yeah, let's just turn off IP address. You can control all of that. And then from here, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. You can view the form. You can view it in different formats. The submission, you can edit the submission again. And you can add notes if you want. You can star it. You can lock it. You can do all this stuff. And so that's how you can view it. If you want to download it, I think, yeah, from here you can download it. So results, you can download it. And then if you want to clear it, you can simply go here and clear it as well. But the last piece of functionality is firing off the email to the owner of the listing. That's what we need to do next. So we're going to be able to do that by using tokens. So the first thing we'll do is go on to settings, handlers, and then click on email. And one thing we didn't do is we didn't download the token module. So tokens are these little things with square brackets. But if you install the token module, you get a UI where you can see the available tokens. So let's just download that. You should always use token. So Drupal core has the API, but token has the UI. Token module has the UI. So let me just add that to my list. Oh man, it just baffles me. Like, it's amazing how many modules we're actually using. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 contrib modules. It's amazing. Okay, so tokens in there. Let's just go to appearance and install it. Give it a second. Oh, that was much quicker than I thought. And if we go back to here and click on Add Handler, you'll see we get this browse available tokens. Now, what we need to do is, let me just clean this up so it's a bit better. Let's go back into add. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to change this to, instead of being just the site mail, which is the generic site, we need to change it to custom to email address. But we need to get the token for the node which the submission was submitted on, and then we need to get the owner of that node. So we need to traverse a few things. Now, submissions are smart enough to know the source entity, and that's actually the most important part of this whole endeavor, is that Webform is smart enough to know where you submitted the form on. So submitted to. It's aware of the source entity, which is awesome, which is absolutely awesome. Because then we can do things like this. Okay. What I'm going to do is, where is this submitted to? Okay, so what I want to do is let's do a bit of debugging, okay, or a bit of testing. So add a handler, set the action, and what you want to do is put in this. So it is webform, submitted to. So this will get you the node object. And then author, then mail, okay? So if we have a look, so let's just move this here. So if you have a look at web form submission, so scroll all the way down to submitted. Where is that? Submitted to. So you can see here, this is it. So submitted to, and then the question mark means that there's a wildcard, because it essentially returns the object, and then with the object, you figure out the author and the mail. So if I was to fill this out, this will actually just send a status message. Now, if I fill this out again, I should get an email returned. Ivan@example.com. If things don't work, so let me just put something in there which will break it. If things don't work, you will see the actual token, which means it wasn't rendered properly. Okay, so that is working. So let's just go back here. And all we need to do is grab that. Let's delete it. Add an email. Set the to. And then make sure the to is this. Web form submission, submitted to, author, mail. And just leave everything as it is. There we go. Email was sent from and then to. Well, that's a terrible example but the email was actually sent, and it was sent. Wait, who is the owner of this My Awesome listing? Okay, admin. Okay. Let's go to configuration and where is it? Let's change this to no reply, as many people like it. And then the owner of the awesome blog test, no, what is it? Awesome, My Awesome listing. Is that it? Is admin, and then admin password. Username, email address is Ivan at example. Okay, so now if I fill this out yet again, this should just work. Got another one, and then yep, from no reply to no reply, and the reason for that is because I changed these settings. Let's change this back to the proper one. No, that's not it. Let's change these things correctly. So a web form submission submitted to. Hit that, because see, it said from no reply, which is a site email, to no reply. This should be Ivan at example. Let's submit that. And then there's this one, which should be no reply to Ivan. There we go. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm just looking at my notes to see if we've pretty much covered everything. I think we have, which is good. Well, everything that I wanted in this video. All right, I think that is it for this video. I don't really know how long it's all going to be, but I hope you've learned a lot. I hope you've enjoyed the last couple of hours with me explaining everything. And if you have any other ideas about epic long tutorials that you want, just please let me know in the comments. If you've watched the whole video, shame on you. I just can't believe you actually did it. Listen to me talk, and thank you so much for watching.